The date is the 28th of July 2025. This is our 44th Tawheed Halaqah. We are on chapter 11, page 404, continuing the chapter related to
volume.
the volume. This is volume 2, Tawheed.
Volume
2.
That's what I wish to say. Volume 2, chapter so on. That's what, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Tawheed Halaqah, chapter 2, volume 2, chapter 11, page 404. We are continuing on with the same chapter. How did the Adnanite Arabs abandon the deen of Ismail alayhi salam? And the section we are on is the innovations introduced by Amr ibn Luhayy. Okay, so
Section title, okay.
Okay. As set out by the Al-Akhbar, here are some of the actions that were undertaken by the Shaytan to achieve these ends. They are outlined in the following 5 narratives, which are presented in full below. My grandfather narrated to me Sa'id ibn Salim, narrated to us from Uthman ibn Saj. He said Muhammad ibn Ishaq reported to me that Amr ibn Luhayy erected 7 asnam, idols, on Al-Qareen, between the Masjid of Mina and the first Jamarah on a particular path. He also erected a Thanam, idol, on the first Jamarah, another on Al-Madar, and another on the middle Jamarah. Also, he erected a Sanam on the edge of the valley and above the greater Jamarah, as well as on it. He distributed 21 pebbles among them, and each idol was pelted with 3 pebbles. When throwing the pebbles, the devotees would utter to the Sanam, "You are greater than so-and-so," referring to the previous Sanam that was pelted. Abdul Walid narrated to us, he said, my grandfather narrated to us, he said, Sa'id ibn Salim al-Khida narrated to us from Uthman ibn Saj. He said, Muhammad ibn Ishaq reported to me, he said, Amr ibn Luhayy erected a sanam that was called Al-Jals Al Uzza in the lower part of Mecca. They, the mushrikeen, used to adorn it with necklaces and make offerings of barley and wheat. They would pour milk over it, slaughter animals, and hang ostrich eggs upon it. He also erected a sanam on Mount Safa, saying to it that it is Nahik, Mujawad, Al-Rih, flyer of the wind, and upon Mount Marwah, a sanam that was said to it, Matam at-Tayr, food for the birds. Abdullah ibn Imran narrated to us, he said, Sa'id ibn Salim al-Qidah narrated to us from Uthman ibn Saj. He said, Muhammad ibn Ishaq reported to me that Amr ibn Luhayy erected a sanam on Mount Safa, saying to it, that is Nahik, Mujawad al-Rih, flyer of the wind, and upon Mount Marwah a sanam that was said to be to it Matam at-Tayr, food for the birds. My grandfather narrated to me, Sa'id ibn Salim narrated to us from Uthman ibn Saj. He said, Muhammad ibn Ishaq reported to me that Amr ibn Luhayy took Al-Uzza to Nakhla. When the Hajj was completed and the circumambulation around the Kaaba, the pilgrims wouldn't regard this as complete until they reached Al-Uzza. They would circumambulate her, seeking blessings, and spent a day in devotion to her. Al-Uzza belonged to the tribe of Khuda'ah. The Quraysh and the Bani Kinana, along with Mudr, held great reverence for Al-Uzza. The protectors and custodians of Al-Uzza were the Bani Shayban, who belonged to the Bani Sulaym, who had allegiance with Bani Hashim. Abdul Walid narrated to us, he said, my grandfather narrated to us, he said, Sa'id ibn Salim narrated to us from Uthman ibn Saj. He said, Muhammad ibn Ishaq reported to me, he said, Amr ibn Luhayy erected the idol of Manat on the coastal area near the sea, specifically in Qadid. Manat was revered and worshipped by the tribes of Azd and Ghassan. They used to perform pilgrimage to Manat, holding her in high esteem. After completing the circumambulation of the Kaaba, departing from Arafat and Mina, they would not shave their heads except before Manat. They would also perform that ritual shaving within its precinct. Her devotees would not traverse the mounts of Safa and Marwah, given the presence of the 2 idols, Nahik Mujawad al-Rih and Mat'am al-Tayr. This locale of the Ansar used to venerate Manat, when they performed Hajj or Umrah, none would remain under the roof of their homes until they completed their pilgrimage. When a man entered a state of ritual garb, he would not enter his house, even if there was a need to do so. When returning from pilgrimage, he would encamp behind his house and not touch the lintel of the door with his head. When Allah brought forth Islam and abolished the customs of Jahiliyyah, he sent down the following verse: Goodness does not consist of entering houses by the back door. The truly good person is the one who is mindful of Allah. He said Manat was revered by the Aus, Khazraj, Ghassan from the Azd, as well as by those who followed their religion from the people of Yathrib and the people of Sham, the Levant. It was located on the coastal area near Mashal, near Qadid. Next section, a visit to the Levant. Crucially, some of the...
Is that section, a new section?
Well, it's just another heading, subheading, sorry.
Which books are these? Because you said my father reported which book. Is there in the introduction the name of the book or anything, or just hanging like that?
Let me see. This is okay. The
sectional heading. Go through section heading.
Yeah, I'm in the section header. Give me a second. I'm just going to look at the asterisks where it's pointing to, because some of them have appendices.
So that should be in the text.
Yes, if you bear with me a second, I will tell you. I'm going to make sure, because some of them have numbers, so I need to find the numbers, what they correlate to. This all seems to be one book. So the page started, it is also cited in Majmu al-Zawaid. Thereafter, Al-Haythami said it is narrated by Al-Bazzar. It's manner of Sahih.
That's a comment, but in which book? Because they
so the Al-Haythami Majma al-Zawaid, volume 3.
Where these reports are, but it seems to be they are reported as this is a certain book. That's not Al-Haythami talking. My father reported to me and so on. Al-Haythami is very late. He cannot have this short isnad to Ibn Ishaq. It must be another book in the top. Go to the section top.
Okay, it's the section top. Okay.
Well, section top. It should be on section. In the book, so and so on, we find, and then colon, and then in there. You give the 5 narrations. When you say there's a 5 narrations, we list them all. In which book, where?
Okay, I can only read what's there, so I'm going to read to you the previous appendices, if that triggers anything. So Dr. Jawad Ali, 1968, in Mufassil fi Tarikh al-Arab.
That's the history of the Arab, and the volume 5 or 4, I think, is about idols and so on. Leave that. And then after that,
number 57, Musnad al-Bazzar, volume 2, number 7188.
Where is that? Is that in the footnote or in the main body?
It's in a footnote, and this relates to Abu Kamil al-Hilal ibn Yahya, narrated to us. Who is saying
that Abu Hilal narrated to us? Who is saying that? In which book is being said?
Okay, you're going to have to give me some time on this, because I can't read as fast as that, and I can't really make head or tail of it, because I'm not sure how they've abbreviated it.
They made a mistake, because you give the main book and then his isnad, and then in the footnote you can add it also in Al-Haythami, also in this. That's fine, but it's hanging in the air now. If someone sees it like what you read to me, thinks I am narrating, but I am not narrating. That's my point. Maybe they missed that line or something. But it's okay. I'm just not.
It might be going backward. It might have been mentioned earlier, because I'm just continuing from the entire chapter from before.
But if go to this previous header, this header subsection. See the first line. What does it say? Okay. What's the header name? How Amr ibn Luhayy changed the deen or something?
Okay. So the man Amr ibn Luhayy. So this is. Okay, so this is page 400. Amr ibn Luhayy ibn Qama ibn Khidif is...
No. The current section you just started reading today. You are going now far away.
You asked me to go to the previous section, didn't you?
No, the same section heading, the previous one. The one we are currently on, which is about half a page back.
All I have here is set out in the innovations introduced by Amr ibn Luhayy as set out by the Ahl al-Akhbar. Here's some...
who Ahl al-Akhbar? Which book of Ahl al-Akhbar? Read Ahl al-Akhbar. What does it say after that?
Oh, I see. It's on the next page. Page is 59. Al-Azraqi, Akhbar Makkah, volume 3.
That's what I mean. Khalas, finish. That's it. That's
okay.
That's what I meant, because you don't say Al-Azraqi. I don't know who is reporting that.
Yeah. I think it's because it was carried forward on the next page.
Okay, Al-Azraqi.
Okay.
Is in the Al-Azraqi. So, and then you can find in other places with references and so on. Perfectly fine. So we finished this chain of things coming from Al-Azraqi. Yeah, you see all of them ending with Ibn Ishaq. Ibn Ishaq is obviously the famous Sirah scholar, first-class scholar, dying 150 Hijri, and born most likely 70, so he died 80 years old, roughly. You can estimate whatever you want to estimate. And clearly, he reporting about things which happened maybe 400 or 500 years before Islam. So he's not an eyewitness, nor he reports from eyewitness, through eyewitness to eyewitness. So he's reporting what the Arabs, what the people are saying, rumors of the people, legends of the people. So you cannot trust any of that, but that's what the people will say. Okay? Just to make sure that nobody confused that thinks this is a hadith Nabawi or something. It's not. He just reported Amr ibn Luhayy, so and so on, where he got that. He was not there, obviously. I never claimed that to be there, impossible. So where he got that, definitely from hearsay from the Arab. That was commonly narrated by the people of Akhbar of various types, because the Arab had people of Akhbar. Every tribe has poets and people of Akhbar who keep the oral tradition and teach it to the next generation. And this process goes for centuries. So there's nothing connected, nothing eyewitness. But that's what's available. Okay, that's from my point.
Abov's got a question related, far away.
Salam, Sheikh. Rash, I'm not sure about on your copy. Just two things. I'm not sure about your copy. In my copy, I don't have 59 next to Ahl al-Akhbar. It didn't tell me that there's a footnote coming. Yeah.
Do you have this version? Do you have this version?
I've got it online, PDF. I'm not sure what is. Okay, 1 second. Yeah,
but it's the page 405 is where it has the.
Yeah, no, I found the footnote. I'm just letting you know that it didn't say the number on the actual writing on the page, so you wouldn't know that footnote is connected, kind of thing.
Yeah.
To let you know.
Okay.
And then. Yeah,
Al-Azraqi should be the main body. With the footnote will have various additional things like that. So okay.
Yeah. And then the other question I just had was, I'm not sure if you covered it because I joined a bit late, but with regards to why. Yeah, you said that they were that they would throw the stones at the idol, and obviously they would say one is greater than the other one.
It's irrelevant. Maybe they regard the idols as shaitan. It started with that, and then it promoted to a divine entity, a satanic entity.
Oh, okay, I see.
You never know. This is all khurafat al-mushrikeen. You never end anywhere. But
yeah.
What is
I was like, yeah, because we do that other. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
The question makes sense if you're talking about structured society with written code and so on, and see how it is and what it means. But this is essentially a literal society having legends imported and mixed with local legend and promoting and developing. As we will see examples in the past, and some will be coming out also. Okay. But my objection is that in the body must be said which book we are referring to first. And then the footnotes can expand further. Yeah. So Al-Azraqi, this is in the book of the Al-Azraqi. Okay. So all these 5 narrations go to Ibn Ishaq, most likely it's in his big Sirah, or maybe an extra Sirah information, because he had plenty of writings, not only the Sirah, several other big writings. And he was not present at that time. He was not an eyewitness, nor he received from eyewitness, no, from eyewitness, eyewitness. At least 400 or 500 years separation. So what is it? It's most likely what the Arab were. The people of Akhbar reporting that what they got from parents and grandparents and so on. So it's legend. It's legendary information. Could have a historical root, could whatever it is. Allahu A'lam. Okay, carry on. Rush.
Okay. A visit to the Levant is the next subsection.
By the way, before that, he's talking about putting things in Sham. Sham does not mean necessarily Sham that we know that's Sham now, the Levant. It means just the far north of Mecca. When you are far north of Mecca, they call it Sham. And far south of Mecca, call it Yemen. Sham is north, Yemen is south. So it's not the Sham we know. Now the visit of Amr ibn Luhayy, allegedly where he got the Asnam. Okay. That's where he left monotheism and adopted Monotheism would have been quite contaminated and simplified over time, but was still monotheism. Now he imports idols. Yeah, that's the new section. Visit to the Levant. Yeah. Bismillah, carry on.
A visit to the Levant, page 407. Crucially, some of the narratives show that Amr ibn Luhayy saw these asnam in Sham, the Levant, and having taken a liking to them, imported them back into Arabia. Perhaps Asaf and Na'ila were among them. The following is cited by Al-Kalbi in the Book of Idols. The mother of Amr ibn Luhayy was Fuhayrah, the daughter of Amr ibn al-Harith ibn Amr al-Jurhami. It is also said that she was Qam'ah, the daughter of Mudad al-Jurhumi. It was al-Harith who used to be the custodian of the Kaaba, but when Amr ibn Luhayy came to Mecca, he disputed his right to its custody, and with the aid of the children of Israel, fought the Jurhumites, defeated them, and cleared them out of the Kaaba. He then drove them out of Mecca and took over the custody of the sacred house. After them, he then became very sick and was told, there is a hot spring in Al-Balqa in Asham. If you would go there, you would be cured. So he went to the hot spring, bathed therein, and was cured. During his stay, he noticed that the inhabitants of the place worshipped Asnam. He therefore queried them, saying, what are these things? To which they replied, to them we pray for rain, and from them we seek victory over the enemy. Thereupon he asked them to give a few of these idols, and they did. He took them back with him to Mecca and erected them around the Kaaba. In addition to the above, the following is presented
from Sham. Al-Balqa, you can Google where is Al-Balqa. I think it is. Is it in Syria or in Jordan? Anyway, I don't remember exactly where it's Balqa. Yeah, it's well known at that time. Anyway.
In addition to the above, the following is presented in Al-Mufassal fi Tarikh Al-Arab Qabla al-Islam. In another narration by Ibn al-Kalbi in his book Al-Islam, the idols, the worship of idols is also attributed to Amr ibn Luhayy. However, it presents the story in a different form. Thus we say, Amr ibn Luhayy, he is Rabi'ah ibn Harith ibn Amr ibn Amir ibn Haritha ibn Thalaba ibn Imr al-Qais ibn Mazin ibn al-Azd, and he is Abu Khuda'ah. His mother was Fuhayra bint al-Harith, and it is said that she was the daughter of al-Harith ibn Mudad al-Jurhami, and she was a priestess. He had gained influence in Mecca and expelled the tribe of Jurham from within it, taking control of its leadership. He had an oracle of the jinn, and who was given the nickname Abu Thamama. He said, answer Abu Thamama, to which the reply came, at your service from Tihama. He said, make haste or get out of Tihama, accompanied by peace and luck. Amr replied, there shall be no delay, nothing shall hold me back. Thereupon the oracle rejoiced, to the shores of Jeddah make your way. There you will find Asnam in fine array. With thee to Tihama take them back. Let nothing alarm you, fear no attack. Then did bid the Arabs.
It's not imported from Sham, it is found at the seaside. Some ship maybe become shipwrecked, and then the Asnam are flooded. Oh, you see this, all legendary. Okay.
Then bid the Arabs worship them, one and all. They will hear your voice and heed your call. Amr proceeded to the shores of Jeddah, dug the idols out of the sand, carried them to Tihama, and erected them there. When the time for pilgrimage arrived, he summoned all the Arabs to their worship. Auf ibn Udra, ibn Zayd al-Lat, ibn Rufayda, ibn Thawr, ibn Qalb, ibn Wabara, ibn Taghlib, ibn Khulwan, ibn Imran, ibn Al-Haf, ibn Quda'ah answered this call. Amr gave him Wad, which Auf carried to Wadi al-Qura, and he erected it in Dumat Jandal. He also, that's the month, yeah? He also gave his son the name Al-Abdwad, who was the first to be named as such. Meanwhile, Auf was the first to give one of his children the name. Thereafter, the Arabs named their children after Wad. This narrative follows a similar pattern to the first narration regarding the origin of idol worship among the Arabs before Islam, according to the opinion of historians, except for the difference in the location from which the idols were obtained. Here Jeddah is mentioned, which is located on the coast of the Red Sea, while the other place mentioned is in the region of Al-Balqa in the Levant. Although these locations differ geographically, they share one common aspect. They were intentionally situated trade routes that attracted foreigners since ancient times? Does this imply that these idols were imported from abroad, from the lands of the Levant, Greater Syria or Egypt, and that they were crafted by the people of the Levant, Egypt, or even the Romans? Another narration recalls that Amr ibn Luhayy bought the idol Hubal from Hayt in Iraq and placed it in the Kaaba. It concludes with a minor adjustment and correction of some phrases in the narrations as they appear in the original sources. And this is Dr. Jawad Ali from in his book Al-Mufassal fi Tariq al-Arab Qabla al-Islam. So this is continue. I think this might be your commentary. It is not incredulous to assume that Umar ibn Luhayy may have underwent a civilizational shock during the period when he went to seek some form of medical treatment in the Levant, an area which at the time was under Roman suzerainty. Culture, science, architecture, sculpture had reached its peak under Rome at that time, just like the people of the Levant, the Romans too were mushrikeen. As for the Jews, who were the relatives of the Arabs by their Roman overlords, if it is true that the man Amr ibn Luhayy had taken charge of Mecca in the middle of the 2nd century CE, approximately 140 CE, as will be mentioned shortly, there is no doubt he would have heard about the destruction of the temple after the defeat of the Jews in the revolt of 70 CE, or even the massacres that the Romans perpetrated against the Jews in the Bar Kokhba revolt, the 3rd Jewish revolt or the Jewish expedition, occurring around 130 CE, at which time they were severely defeated, with the Romans prohibiting them from entering Jerusalem, scattering them to various lands. It is not unlikely that he stood himself on the ruins and witnessed firsthand the traces of destruction, causing perhaps a severe intellectual earthquake in his thoughts. It may well be that the man was unable to comprehend how the mushrikeen excelled so overwhelmingly, both culturally and militarily, over the people of monotheism. He fell into a whirlpool of doubts and suspicions until his troubled conscience or the companionship of satanic jinn whispered to him that these superior civilized individuals had gained access through observation, revelation, or inspiration to new facts about the angels, those spiritual celestial beings whom the primitive and backward Arabs of ignorance believed in as part of Deen from Ismail, knowing very little about them. The new truth that he seemingly put forward was that angels were the sons and daughters of Allah, and they are responsible for managing and administering different aspects of the universe, as each has their own specialization.
That's an attempt to understand from psychology what moved the man who comes from an area relatively monotheistic but primitive area, when coming to Sham, see this high level of civilization, excellent sculpture, massive forces of the Romans, enormous power, and so on. He would be definitely in a state of shock.
So basically, defeated mentality.
Defeated mentality, exactly what now with secularism, the same thing. Defeated mentality. But now the West, or you speak of industrialization and so on, offers secularism, doesn't offer idols directly. It offers another type of idols, intellectual idols. Okay. An attempt to understand what moved the man. And he's the leader in Mecca, he just controlled Mecca and so on. And he thought, maybe there's the angels, we believe it's angels, actually daughters of Allah, and things like mixing with them, because that's some of the belief of the Levant, that these are also sons and daughters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the same thing. So he has to weave it with the local belief and present to the people, these are the angels, that's it. But they are actually daughters of Allah. We were ignorant about that, but we now are progressing. We studied in the high schools of the Romans and the Greeks. Okay, something like that. It's just speculative, obviously. But yeah. Okay, carry on.
Broadly, it doesn't befit a king to delegate tasks for the commoners to undertake, particularly since his children, either by adoption or direct loyal lineage, are present to carry out his wishes. Therefore, they are God's deities to be worshipped. Their father rejoices in their worship and rewards it, in addition to the great benefit derived from their intercession and mediation. And it is perfectly acceptable to represent these supposed deities through sculptures and images, just as the supposed advanced nations do. Having equipped himself with a new theory and magnified artistic sculptures, Amr ibn Luhayy, ruler of Mecca, leader of the unified Arabs, found no difficulty, especially with his reputation for visions, dreams, and supernatural inspiration, to convince the noble and simple Adnite Arabs to develop their native religion in order to keep up the march of civilization. The transition.
He has a jinn who called him Abu Thumama and said that shows that someone who's having an obsessed mind. That's only the reports we have. For example, we have the example of Paul reporting about his vision with Christ and so on, and ascending to the third heaven and things like that, which shows clearly some kind of a troubled mind. Someone who has severely and psychopathic phenomena and possibly schizophrenia with egomania in the case of Paul. This guy, we don't have enough information to classify him, but seems he has some kind of these phenomena, some kind of mental issues. Not that what get you in a mental institution, but what to get you to go into spirituality and imagination and dreams and visions and whispering and things like that. Okay, carry on.
The transition from Tawheed to Shirk happened suddenly in a leap, through the effective efforts of a single preacher, Amr ibn Luhayy ibn Khindif, who was the bewitched and accursed shaitan that called to Shirk and actively instituted it. Thus, Tawheed receded, and the deen of Ibrahim was replaced with within a single generation.
Absolutely.
However, the tide of darkness cannot reign indefinitely, and this was shattered by the coming of the leader of guidance, the beacon of light and truth, Abdul Qasim Muhammad ibn Abdullah, the seal of prophets, peace and blessings be upon him and his family. Indeed, he, peace and blessings be upon him, uprooted Shirk, hook, line, and sinker, eradicated kufr, and manifested the true deen, the easy and tolerant Al-Hanafiya Al-Ibrahimiyya, that was also established within a single generation. All praise and thanks are due to Allah. There is no other God except Him, and there is no Lord beside Him. Upon Him do we rely and seek support.
So remind yourself, all of these stories about Amr ibn Luhayy are just akhbar of the Arabs and so on. They could be all legendary. They may have a historical. The hadith of Prophet, we established that this well established from him, is saying that he saw Amr ibn Luhayy in the hellfire, and he's the first one who changed Ahd Ismail. That's it. Does not mention the detail, does not mention importing idols, nothing of that. Just is the one who changed. The details of the change, how it happened, that's not the job of them to Allah to explain. You want to have these details? Interested? Go see history and artifacts and archaeology. Yeah? And reports, if there are any relevant reports. So that we say that has a historic root because we have based on Muhammad revelation that he saw him in the hellfire, and he's the first one to say, أول من غير عهد إسماعيل. That's the point here that Prophet stressed. He did not mention anything else. All these details, he just glossed over them. He is not bothered with them, and shouldn't be bothered with them. And also the hadith that Tamim was a believer, this was believer, some tribal shifting, which historically before Amr ibn Luhayy, is clearly testifying that these people were still Muslims. Obviously, they were not on the level of sophistication like the time of Ismail. It must have become degenerated, become like more Bedouin arts, but still, it's still monotheism. Simple, backward, but still monotheism. Not falling completely in shirk until this man did the reversion. They may have their own khurafat about angels and jinn, or they have plenty of stories about jinn and so on. But all does not take you out of the fold of Islam until you ascribe divinity to these entities. And that started with Amr ibn Luhayy. Good.
Decisive proofs shatter myths and legends. That's the next subsection. Hence, this is the viewpoint that we have elucidated. It is established from historical sources and evidences to refute the myths, superstitions, and legends, which include the nonsense that the tale of Allah being a man that used to prepare sawiq for the pilgrims, coupled with its nonsense consumption of which would make one fat. Also, the myths woven around the Asaf and Na'ila that they allegedly committed adultery in the Kaaba and were transformed into statues. This, together with whatever baseless and fabricated legends that surround it. Moreover, that the rocks of the Kaaba, allegedly taken and then circumambulated, evolved or metamorphosized into latter deities.
This is all. This is all. People try to explain what happened, and they're wavering, and they try to invent something. And it doesn't produce shirk that you take a stone of the Kaaba and circumambulate around it for billions of years. It doesn't produce shirk until you have a certain change of belief and a vision of the reality. So that's all. You find that sometimes, Harvey books and even Taymiyyah talking about that, but because of this, they buy on these legends. They think this has a substance. It has no substance. Most of it, even historical, has no substance. For that, we have a complete study to get to the root of the story, inshallah. That's an important one, because this is the main one which Ibn Abdul Wahhab based his Shirk al-Qubur. It's the only main one. So that's we give that a section by itself. Carry on.
Given the overwhelming weight of evidence, none has the right to rely upon such utter nonsense. Only the ignorant may be excused, or perhaps a person who outright disbelieves in the prophet of our beloved Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, seal of the prophets, peace and blessings be upon him and his family. Yet one who is acquainted with the plethora of evidence, excuses vanish, much like myths, legends, and superstitions that for too long have held center stage. The accursed shaitan, Amr ibn Luhayy ibn Qam'ah ibn Khindif, didn't invent the gods' deities out of the pure figment of his own imagination. Neither did he actually carve or make the asnam himself. Rather, he was a transmitter or conveyor, taking these from neighboring environs. Even if it were to be argued that he had companions among the shayateen, jinn, who whispered and made suggestion thereof to lead him to the locations of buried, abandoned, ancient asnam or statues, these invariably would belong to those neighboring environs and would not be native to Mecca. Yeah. Indeed, these are definitely from ancient older civilizations, examples of which include the asnam entitled Wad, Suwa, Yaghuth, Ya'uq, and Nasr. Accordingly, the beliefs, superstitions, and rituals of the neighboring peoples of the Arabian Peninsula gave us an approximate picture of what is similar to that among the Arabs. Next subsection, determining the approximate dates. It would appear that Amr ibn Luhayy ibn Qam'ah ibn Khindif is not that old or ancient as one may first think. That much can be summarized from a close, careful reading of key lineages, which are outlined as follows. Dihya ibn Khalifa ibn Farwah ibn Fadala ibn Zayd ibn Umr al-Qais ibn al-Khazraj ibn Amir ibn Bakr ibn Amr ibn Auf ibn Bakr ibn Auf ibn Udra ibn Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida al-Qalbi. He was similar to Jibril, peace be upon him. The Prophet ﷺ sent him as an emissary to Caesar. He resided in Egypt, died during the governorship of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. There are 13 generations, literally fathers, between Dihya, may Allah be pleased with him, and Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida al-Qalbi. Qalbi. Osama ibn Zayd ibn Haritha ibn Shurahil.
Genealogy are known to see how many generations until the beginning of Shirk. Zayd al-Lat, Zayd Manat, things like that. Yeah. Go ahead, next one.
Osama ibn Zayd ibn Haritha ibn Shurahil ibn Kab ibn Abdul Uzza ibn Yazid ibn Imr al-Qais ibn Nu'man ibn Amr ibn Abd Wad ibn Kinana ibn Auf ibn Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Kalb ibn Gwabra ibn Thalab ibn Hilwan ibn Imran ibn Al-Haf ibn Quda'ah, Mawla to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His kunya, Nam the Ger, is Abu Zayd. Also, it is said it is Abu Muhammad. It is said that Abu Zayd passed away after Uthman ibn Affan was killed. His ring was engraved with love of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessing be upon him. He was 20 years old when the Messenger of Allah ﷺ passed away. He settled in Wadi al-Qurah. His mother, Ayman, her name is Barakah, was a servant of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. Hence, between Usama ibn Zayd, may the bounty of Allah be upon him, and his mother, and Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Qalb, there are 12 generations. So, this generation, this lineage, how's that been transmitted? Is it?
Oh, People have unsab the transcending that since the time of Sahaba.
Okay, so it's reliable to determine a timeline.
Generally, yeah. Like the lineage of the Prophet and so on. The Arab are keeping their lineage very meticulously. Orally, yeah, and abridged, and yes, but you can take it generally that these numbers are roughly represent the minimum at least, because there is some unimportant fathers, grandfathers are usually dropped later. Okay, next.
Imr al-Qais ibn Adi ibn Aus ibn Jabir ibn Ka'b ibn Alim ibn Hubal ibn Abdullah ibn Kinana ibn Bakr Auf ibn Udhra ibn Zad ibn Zayd Allat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Kalb al-Kalbi he has been mentioned, I don't know. He was mentioned by Ibn al-Kalbi. He said Umar ibn al-Khattab ordered him to be the one who embraced Islam in the Levant from Qadah. Ali married his son Hassan and Hussein to his daughters. His daughter Al-Rabab al-Hussein ibn Ali had his daughter Sakina from her and said, "By your life, I truly love a home where tranquility resides," and Al-Rabab. Thus, between the Sahabi Ibn al-Qais ibn Adi, may Allah be pleased with him, and Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Qalbi, there are 11 generations. Muhammad ibn Sa'ib al-Kalbi ibn Bashir ibn Bishr ibn Amr ibn al-Harith ibn Abdul Harith ibn Abdul Uzza ibn Imr al-Qais ibn Amir ibn al-Nu'man ibn Amr ibn Abdul Wad ibn Qinana ibn Auf ibn Udra ibn Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Kalb. His kunya was Muhammad ibn as-Sa'ib al-Kalbi. Abu al-Nadra, his grandfather Bishr ibn Amr, his tribe and his sons as-Sa'ib. Ubayd Abdul Rahman witnessed Al-Jamal with Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anh. As-Sa'ib ibn Bishr was killed along with Mus'ab ibn al-Zubair.
So it's from that generation. So you count how many until Zayd al-Lat and so on.
Thus, between Bishr ibn Amr, who is from the generation of the Sahaba, and Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Kalb, there are 12 generations. A further mention is made in Tabaqat al-Kubra of Ibn Sa'ad when speak of Yazid ibn Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. His mother Maysun ibn Buhdal ibn Anif ibn Dalajah ibn Kinana ibn Adi ibn Zuhair ibn Haritha ibn Junab ibn Dal ibn Abdullah ibn Kinana ibn Bakr ibn Auf ibn Udra ibn Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Kalb. So between his maternal grandfather Budal, who is from the generation of Sahaba, and Zayd al-Lat, there is 13 generations. Recording in Sirah al-Nabawiyah, there is al-Abbas and Dirar, Nutaylah bin Janab ibn Qulib ibn Malik ibn Abdul, in brackets Ibn Abdul Manaf, ibn Amr ibn Amir ibn Zayd Manat ibn Amir, and he Duhayn ibn Sa'd ibn Khazraj ibn Taym Atlat ibn An-Namr ibn Qasid ibn Ahanb ibn Asf ibn Jadila ibn Asad ibn Rabi'ah ibn Nadhar, and it is said Afsa ibn Du'ammi ibn Jadila. Here between Al-Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, and Taym al-Lat ibn Namr ibn Qasid, there are 10 or 11 generations by way of the maternal lineage. The Arabs used to refer to Zayd al-Lat and Taym al-Lat prior to the advent of the Prophet ﷺ by approximately 12 generations at the very least. This is, of course, assuming that the genealogical channels are accurate and have no omissions. However, we would be more cautious to say that the first 6 names in any of those genealogical channels are precisely accurate without any obvious omissions. These are the 6 generations. As for the 6 names above them, it is possible that some omissions or even abbreviations have occurred. In reality, and originally, they consisted of 9 names, with a third of them deleted due to their lesser frame, so lesser importance. Therefore, the total number of generations is approximately around 16, which is the region of 500 years. Amr ibn Luhayy ibn Qam'ah ibn Khindif was certainly present before that, and he may have been in the early 2nd century CE. So broadly, that would align with the fact that the Quraysh under the leadership of Qusay ibn Kilab took control of Mecca, expelling the Qudaa around 440 CE. The Qudaa ruled Mecca for around 300 years and defeated the Jurham and driving them out around 140 CE. Further to this, there is an amusing narrative that is highlighted in the Book of Idols by Al-Kalbi. They then adopted so this is the extract. They then adopted Al-Uzza as their goddess. She is in point of time more recent than either Al-Lat or Manat, since I have heard that the Arabs named their children after the latter of the two, before they named them after Al-Uzza. Thus I found that Tamim ibn Murr had called his sons Zayd Manat ibn Tamim ibn Murr.
As we discussed last time, it may be there's some generation in between, because Tamim was a believer, was Muwahid, so he wouldn't call his son Zayd Manat. But that's what Hisham al-Kalbi is saying. Yeah, carry on.
Thus I found that Tamim ibn Murr had called his son Zayd Manat ibn Tamim ibn Murr ibn Ad ibn Tabakha, and Abdul Manat ibn Abd. Similarly, in the name of Allah, the Thalaba ibn Uqaba named his son Taib al-Lat. Among others, Taim al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr, Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Burda ibn Mur ibn Ad ibn Tabakha, Taim al-Lat ibn Nimr ibn Qasit, Abdul Uzza ibn Ka'b ibn Sa'd ibn Zayd Manat ibn Tamim. Tamim ibn Mur named his son Zayd Manat ibn Tamim ibn Mur ibn Ad ibn Tabakha, and Abdul Manat ibn Ad. Thalaba ibn Uqaba named his son Taym al-Lat. Tamim al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr. Zayd al-Lat ibn Rafida ibn Thawr ibn Burda ibn Mur ibn Abd ibn Tabakha. Tamim al-Lat ibn Namir ibn Qasit. Abdul Uzza ibn Ka'b ibn Sa'd ibn Zayd Manat ibn Tamim. It is therefore more recent than the first two. Abdul Uzza ibn Kalb is among the earliest compound names the Arabs used in the conjunction with Al-Uzza. The person who introduced Al-Uzza was Zalim ibn Asad. Her idol was situated in a valley in Nakhlat al-Shamiyah that was called Hirad, which is alongside.
Point of view that Al-Uzza is not introduced by Amr ibn Luhayy, it is a bit later. So, but people lump that all put it Amr ibn Luhayy. But Amr ibn Luhayy is the first one to introduce the main one, the first ones. Okay.
So she was called Hirad, which is alongside Al-Ghamir. To the right of the road from Makkah to Iraq, above that Irq, 9 miles from Al-Bustan. Over her Zalim built a sanctuary called Bas, in which the people used to receive oracular communications. The Arabs, as well as the Quraysh, would want to name their children Abdul Uzza. Furthermore, Al-Uzza was the greatest idol among the Quraysh. They used to journey to her, offer gifts to her, and seek her favors through sacrifice. Cited in Muj'am al-Buldan, regarding Al-Uzza, including the first mentioned, as per the statement of the Almighty, he said, have you considered Al-Lat Al-Uzza and Al-Uzza? Al-Lat was the Sanam of the Al-Thaqif, and Al-Uzza was the goddess that was worshipped by Ghatafan. They built a temple sanctuary for her with erected pillars with a custodian. The Prophet ﷺ sent Khalid ibn Walid to demolish the sanctuary and burn the idol. As a term, Al-Uzza is the feminine form of Al-Adh, similar to Al-Qubra, carrying the feminine meaning of Al-Aziz, and Al-Uzza carrying the feminine meaning of the mighty or powerful. Ibn Habib said Al-Uzza was a tree located in the sanctuary of An-Nakhla, where the tribe of Ghatafan placed an idol dedicated for her worship. Its custodians were from the tribe of Bani Samra ibn Marwah. Abu Mundhir said, after the mention of Manat and Allat, thereafter Al-Uzza was adopted, the text carrying that meaning. Mention of the comparative age of the Asnam vis-a-vis one another is also made in Fath al-Bari by Ibn Hajar by way of summation. Hisham ibn al-Qalbi said Manat was older than Allat. It was destroyed by Ali in the year of conquest by order of the Prophet ﷺ. As for Allat, she was more recent than Manat, and that was destroyed by Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, again by order of the Prophet ﷺ, after the tribe of Thaqif submitted to Islam. As regards Al-Uzza, she was more recent than Allat. It was taken by Thalim ibn Sa'ad in Wadi Nakhla, which is above that Irq. She was demolished by Khalid ibn al-Walid by order of the Prophet ﷺ in the year of conquest. I would argue, that in relation to where Al-Qalbi said, Tamim ibn Murr named his son Zayd Manat ibn Tamim ibn Murr ibn Ad ibn Tabakha, this may well contain an element of exaggeration, because it is more likely that Tamim died as a Muslim, as mentioned in the narration. Therefore, it is unlikely that Zayd Manat is the son of Tamim Saliba. Rather, he is Zayd Manat ibn Fulan ibn Tamim. And the lineage has been shortened by omitting the name of Fulan, e.g. so-and-so.
Absolutely, yeah.
Perhaps there were multiple individuals that were referred to as Fulan, given their limited frame, which is quite common in genealogical listings. Here we would hasten to add that everything previously mentioned is related to the essence of the Arab tribes from northern Arabia, the descendants of Ismail who lived alongside them from the non-Ismaili tribes, such as Jurhum in ancient times, Al-Muwahidin, Al-Mu'minin, believing monotheists, the followers of the Prophet Salih, from the remnants of Thamud and the remnants of Midian. Perhaps they were some believers from among the followers of Hud, the remnants of Ad, although their habitation is more likely to be in Yemen and not the northern Arabian Peninsula. In recent times, the tribe of Khudaa, sections from Quda'ah, Qalb, Tay, and those who settled in northern Arabian lands. With regards to the southern Arabs, the Yemenite Qahtani Arabs, as well as the Nabateans of Iraq and Levant, it appears that they had the greater trappings of civilization. They were people that inhabited cities and villages having agriculture, industry, and trade. It is rare to find among the nomadic Bedouins who herd camels, as it's more common among the Arabs of northern Arabia. By far, though, they possessed greater skill in writing, inscriptions, and sculpture. As a whole, such people seem to have tended towards Shirk, as evidenced by the story of the Queen of Sheba, who embraced Islam via the efforts of the Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam. The history of the southern region is generally well known. Judaism and monotheism spread gradually in Yemen, but even so, they remained scattered minorities of mushrikeen. Then Christianity came along with the stories of the people of the ditch, the conflicts between Abyssinia and the Yemenite kings, and later the Persians. Such events are well documented. Thus, there isn't a great need to dwell further upon them. Okay.
There was correlation around this stage, as we discussed with Abu Muhammad last time.
Okay, so this ends this chapter. The next chapter is number 13, page 420, Lot, Lies, and Mythology. Abu Muhammad wants to
Lot, yeah.
Okay, Abu Muhammad, you can unmute. You want to say something?
Assalamu alaikum, Professor. I understand the methodology you're coming from is pretty good actually, but just a few notes to consider. So when you try to fix the genealogies that contains Zayd Manat, Taym Allat as an evidence that these names are names of mushrikeen, polytheists, I just want to clarify it's not necessarily true. Let me give you an example. Even now in Islam, we have like people calling Abd al-Zahra, Abd al-Hussein, Abd al-Kada.
No, that's different. We know how this comes. We know how that comes.
Yes, as a type of veneration or respect to the Zahra, not as an enslavement to her or
Yeah,
worshipping.
no, no, but in before Islam is clear, Abd wa Tazmeen is not like this one. This one is something different, like servant.
So, so why do you think it doesn't happen in
Because
before Islam?
Allah
Like
is a
someone,
goddess. Allah is a goddess. It's not a person and so on. We will come to Allah. The chapter will start now. For example, Allah.
yeah, but someone out of respect, he wants to like show his respect. He called him his
Why
his son.
isn't a sacred personality? Is a satanic entity married to the God of heaven. It's completely different.
Okay, okay, okay.
It's not,
So,
it's not one from Al Bayt or someone honorable and so on, and then
okay.
being servant. That's different.
Okay, okay.
Also
Actually,
in India and Pakistan, Abd Nabi, Abd Rasul.
yes, yeah, even in Egypt. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, that's not. You cannot compare that with that. It's a bad name, shouldn't be used like that, but it is not indicating that he believes this is divine.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Moving to the second point, which I think it's much more persuasive. Now, you also used the genealogy of Quda'a and Rabi'a, Asad bin Jadila bin Rabi'a.
I think with Qudaa there's a question mark because Qudaa, Kalb, especially Kalb, is a
Kalb,
question.
yes.
Kalb have
Yes.
been usually in Sham most of the time.
Yes.
That's the
Yes,
part. So
that's the
maybe early contaminated, but the using of Asad, bin Rabi'a and so on is okay because Rabi'a and Mudar are emerged from around Mecca.
but essentially they have emerged from around Mecca towards Mosul, Iraq, etc., Mesopotamia before Islam.
Before Islam, 1 century, 1.5 century. But they were before Daesh, before Harb al-Basus, they were close to Mecca and close to South Night.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. So you don't think that they have migrated earlier than 1 century? Okay.
It cannot be. No, it cannot be. It cannot.
Okay, okay, okay. Because actually you mentioned it beautifully that any tribe who steps on Mesopotamia or Levant, we just have to cancel on it because we don't know if they were contaminated with polytheism from early times. Yeah.
With Kalbi have a point because they settled there, I think, long ago. The same tribes there for thousands of years, like the tribes who came from Yemen. That's
like Tanukh and Lachm.
Lachm and Jadam and
Jadam, yes.
all in the north for thousands of years. Even Ghassasana, they're thousands.
Absolutely. And let me tell you an interesting point here. It's worth mentioning. You know the famous debate that Kalb, because it's a descent from Quda'a. There's a debate. Quda'a, is it Qahtani and Adnani? But by the way, by DNA, they are Adnani. Their common ancestors with Mudar and Rabi'a is J1 FJC 1695.
We cannot ascertain that until now. We are not sure what's Adnani al-Qahtani in J1 and J2. We don't have.
But the point that I want to
you can't conclude from that. All Yemeni, or most Yemeni tribes who are genuinely Yemeni, well established Yemeni, like Qahtan and so on, Murad, etc., they are J1.
J1 and similarly even Adnani.
We cannot be sure. There's no real scan of DNA of the Arabs of respectable way. Until now, there's no good risk yet.
Because DNA tests have been widespread so far in the Gulf region.
But not enough to do a scan you can build on it a theory.
Okay. I understand. But let me tell you my theory. How
we have tons from Shammar and so on, and Ash'ari in Shammar and so on, yeah? And they show clearly that the cousins of Qahtan in Asir. Which is historically well established because Tay is another name of Jalham, and Jalham is the brother of Madhaj.
Yes.
No doubt about that. But and the same genealogy, J1, and you follow it, and you meet about 3,000 years ago. That's we have enough there. But in other tribes, we have barely anything.
Okay.
So no, don't use that yet.
Okay, but let me tell you the interesting thing outside of DNA. Now the debate that Kalb, because it's from descends from Quda'a, is it Adnan or Qahtani? I think because Qudaa migrated from ancient times, centuries before Islam, to Sham, and they allied with Ghassanid, Lakham, and Tanukh, and these Yemenite tribes.
Maybe they're Adnani, maybe they're from China. We don't know until you have a good DNA with a good scan and trace those who belong to Qudaa with a well-established genealogy. A good number is not enough one family and so on. This family could be an ally coming from China. You never know. But if it's if you have a good scan for many sub-tribes and sub-tribes and so on, then you can make a picture. We don't have.
I think so far the scans of the tribe of Juhayna should be sufficient enough. I mean, Juhayna, they have made multiple tests from all Gulf regions and even Egypt and even Levant. All of them correspond.
What did we get from Juhayna?
Yeah, so all of them correspond to their to a specific mutation of DNA, and this specific mutation descends from a common ancestors with Mudar and Rabi'a. So essentially, they have like a common ancestor with the Juhayna.
The scan is not correct. Trust me on that. No, it can't be. It can't be. We have to have a better scan. Every sub-tribe and every sub-tribe, sub-families, a good number.
Okay.
Because most tribes since Islam, even before, they are really associations and alliances.
Alliances, yes.
It's very complex. They tried, for example, the Cohen. Who are the Cohen in Bani Israel? They came in J2, J1, and E. What is this? Those are the name Cohen. And if you can trace their genealogy to the priesthood class, which was demolished by the destruction of the temple, at least by name. And they scanned many of them. They could not find really anything which is satisfactory. E is less. We can assume E is less, it's contamination. But what about J1 and J2? I think almost equal.
Okay. By the way, the entire naming of Arab al-Shamal and Arab al-Janub does not necessarily...
Arab al-Wasat, Arab Mecca وما حولها. Maybe.
Okay. Because Arab al-Shamal, that already includes the Yemenite tribes from ancient times.
What we discussed last time, Arab al-Shamal, around Mecca and so on, South Medina until Najd, that area. That's what I mean, Arab al-Shamal.
Okay, fair enough.
Away in the north, it's contaminated already since long ago.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the point that I want to make. One final point is that, because we passed through the akhbar of Azraqi, and he mentioned that Azd and Ghassan and the Khazraj, he also named Khazraj, they worshipped Manat. Is my memory correct? Am I memorizing correctly?
What's the issue with that?
Yeah. So I'm saying this because this khabar from Al-Azraqi is not necessarily true, because again, these Yemenite tribes have been worshipping idols from long before Amr ibn Luhayy.
No. They are not Yemenite. Khazraj are not. They are from the Azd of the mountains, not from the Azd of Syria. The Azd of Syria is only the Ghasasina and Amira.
Yeah, but they migrated all the way from from the Yemen all the way to Levant. And
only Ghassan and Amira migrated to Sham 2,000, 3,000 years before Christ.
Yeah, so and Khazraj and Aus, they stopped at Medina. They did not continue migration.
They came from Hijaz. They didn't go to Sham.
So what do you mean when saying they came from Hijaz? From
Zahran, these are the Azd area, the original one.
Okay. Around the Sahel, around Tuhama. Okay.
Not around Tuhama, the high mountain. All of these are Azd. Ramid, Zahran, all of these are Azd.
Okay, but if this is the case, that's the point that I want to make, is that the paganism has already been widespread amongst them since before Amr ibn Luhayy. So it's not possible that he's introduced it.
Where do we have that?
Because their immediate neighbors are the Yemeni tribes, Hashid, Madhaj.
I'm not the immediate. Their immediate neighbors is Mecca. The Yemeni tribe are far away. Besides, the Yemeni tribe may have been long ago, 10,000 years before Christ. They have already mostly converted to Judaism under the Queen of Saba. This is all complicated. This focus on Mecca and around.
Okay.
Mudar and Rabi'a. We focus on Mudar and Rabi'a.
Mudar and Rabi'a, essentially. Yes. Because including Yemenite tribes or tribes who have been contaminated in Levant is not very persuasive.
No, it should not be included. Should
not be included. Yes.
It should be excluded. I said that about Nabataean already. They are not included in that. Although they are Ismailite in the sense they are the first son of Ismail, actually, the first one. Nabit. And the second one is Qaidar. Only Qaidar. And from Qaidar, only sub-tribes who survive.
Sub-tribes, yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay, one more point, but inshallah, after Rash continues, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
But as with genealogies of Arab and DNA, we have to have better scan. Until now, nobody did. Even Al-Bayt, many of them are hiding their scan and so on. Because they came all like, for example, the royalty in Al-Maghrib, they come on G. G is definitely not an Arab tribe or even a tribe. But maybe some ally or someone descending, his mother is from Al-Bayt, but his father is from China, for example. We don't know.
The thing is that most of these DNA scans are made by like commercial companies, 123 DNA. So it should be done like a research by a research company or something.
Even if it's done by company, but it has to be systematic and covering the whole tribe properly, so we can have a picture, the DNA map, a proper one.
Okay, just a scientific question. What do you mean by cover the tribe properly? Like each individual? Each individual?
Not each individual. Like for example, the Mas'ari, for example.
Okay.
This is a sub-tribe of a Dawasir. And the three sub-tribes. There's Al-Ab al-Hasan, Zimamat, Al-Abu Sabba. Al-Ab al-Hasan are 10 fukhud. So we have to take from every fakhd at least several families which meet only in the 10th grandfather or something like that, and then make a DNA. So 10 from each of us. So you have to have 100, but well scattered.
Well scattered.
Yeah. And then you go to Athamamat, and the Athamamat are not subdivided like Al Hassan, but they have maybe 3, 4 fakhd and subdivide and so on. Ultimately, to have a good scan, it should be for the Dawasir at least something of like 500 to 1,000 to have a good map so you can connect genealogy with really genetics.
And scattered, you said, so from different regions.
Distributed over various families.
Yes. Okay.
It doesn't make any sense that you go, for example, to the Mas'ari of Hota and Muzahmiya, that's ourselves. They meet in the 7th or 8th grandfather, according to standard genealogy. And also, they did some DNA, they come cleanly for the same tahawur. That's from these 1 or 2 are enough. But you have to go to another, but all of them from Fassam. You have to go to the Fassasma and check how many major families they're separated by 10 generations and take from each one. To see, maybe for some itself is an association. Maybe it's not a pure genetic descent, and so on.
Okay.
That's the way to go.
Understand. Yeah, understood. Yeah.
There's no other way to go. Otherwise, you'll come to wrong conclusions.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it has to be done, as you said, systematically and methodically, not just haphazardly. Yeah. Okay.
Done cleanly and properly with good statistics and so on. Otherwise, you will get something which is looks odd and maybe twisted outside. For example, we come the Mas'ari of Hota and Zahmiya, we come the Tahawur J2B. But in J2B, we have in the same Tahawur J2B Al-Amudi.
Yes, Al-Amudi. And even...
Wait a second. Al-Amudi claim, that's their general claim, they go back to Amud al-Din, who on his own Mus'haf, which I think preserved by some of them until now, traced the journey to Abdurrahman ibn Abi Bakr. So if this...
Abu Bakr, yes. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq.
Abu Bakr is in J2B, maybe Quraysh is J2B. We don't know.
Okay.
You have to do more than that. That's what I'm saying.
I see.
Don't get in that nightmare.
Okay, I see. Okay.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't get in there.
Yeah. I mean, I see the picture now.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Jazakallah khair.
Complex, but it's secondary for us anyway. But the most important is that the guy called Amr ibn Luhayy, who must have lived around, as I said, the estimate is 130, 140 around Christ, where he did the change, or assuming power. That's essentially the Jews have been scattered and defeated, and the Roman Empire can speak, and he has this cultural shock. It fits everything nicely, speculatively, obviously. You have no records, nothing they recorded, nothing of any importance except these akhbari. And we have the only thing we can rely on revelation is that the Prophet said, you saw the Amr ibn Luhayy troubling the people of hellfire with the stench of his intestines, because he is one who changed the Ahd of Ismail without mentioning any idols, anything.
Yeah. I mean, this will establish. So, just the final matter of contention is about the chronology of Amr ibn Luhayy. But after, inshallah, we continue reading.
That roughly like that, because his descendants at the time of Prophet remember the chronology quite well. They may drop 1 or 2 or 3 maximum, but and it fits in the year 130 CE.
Yes, so let me go through it very quickly. It's going to be very interesting. So you did a great job in calculating the factor of error in the positive or the negative axis. You assume that there are grandparents who were dropped, but you did not conclude that on the positive axis, that some of these genealogies who memorized them, like Kalbi or Azraqi, or which came from Akhbar, they have been added by mistake. And let me give you one example from the genealogies that you mentioned. For example, Muhammad bin Abdullah bin Fulan bin Muhammad bin Abdullah. So Muhammad bin Abdullah is repeated twice. We can assume that it's a mistake by the Rawi, by the narrator.
Why?
Because it repeats Muhammad bin Abdullah bin Fulan bin Muhammad bin Abdullah.
Genealogies of scholars in the 5th century, Muhammad bin Abdullah, ibn Muhammad bin Abdullah, ibn Muhammad bin Abdullah, ibn Muhammad bin Abdullah 7 times.
Yeah, but that's at as we discussed last time, after Islam. Before Islam, it could be anything. There's no
no, but it can happen before Islam also. There's a desired name or a leader of tribe, and they love that name for some reason or another. It can repeat like that. Is the name after Islam? There are schools, and Muhammad is a very desirable name. So you could have Muhammad ibn Abdullah. And we have actually a case also Muhammad ibn Muhammad ibn Muhammad ibn Muhammad ibn Muhammad 7 times.
But yeah, Sheikh, that's after recordation, after like people are writing down.
It can exist. It was Islam was not recorded, but the singular one can happen. But if someone like that singularly happen, because usually they name after the father only if the son is born after his death. So it may sequence the 7 die while their wives are pregnant. And there's no you call him Muhammad or call him, for example, Kalb or Ka'b ibn Ka'b ibn Ka'b. I haven't ever seen anything like that, but it could happen.
Because let me give you because let me give you a real, actually from my genealogy, a real example of an error that happened. One of my great grandfathers, his name is Abu Bakr, and you know Abu Bakr is a laqab. His name is Fulan. So one historian, he read his name Abu Bakr Fulan, and he assumed from his mind that there is a bin has been dropped. So he connected the bin. So he, in reality, he added another name, Abu Bakr bin Fulan. In reality, his name is Abu Bakr Fulan.
There may be addition, but generally, in high up, more dropping is than addition. Generally, people memorize only the 6 first, and after that, especially in illiterate nations.
But if we were to take it strictly, we need to assume like there are a few names that have been added by mistake, although quite few, not as like it has been dropped.
It is relatively rare if we are studying a reasonable time span of like 12 to 15 generation, 500 years. If we go for 1,000 years, then we must really drop much more.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
For adding, you have to have an evidence that someone like Ben is dropped, something like that. This happened also. Rash read this last time on Isnad, and where An has been dropped, so you think it's the same man. It's actually 2 men. With them, there's the An which has been dropped.
Or An Ban has been converted to Bin, for example.
Or something. So you have to scrutinize these. That's well known. But it is rarer.
Yes.
Technology is rarer. What's not rare is in the high ones, nobody will memorize hundreds names until it is just impossible.
Yeah.
So we drop all the just main things. So it's like most people of the Yemen, they have their genealogy until Adam. No way it comes.
Yes.
100 or 100 something. Until Adam, it must be 2,500 at least. So there's no way to memorize that.
Yes. 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 Absolutely. Okay. 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 That sounds good. Okay. Jazakallah khair.
Carry on. Now we go to Allah.
Okay.
We finish with it today, inshallah, hopefully.
No, this is a long chapter. We're not going no way we're going to go through the whole of this chapter.
Let's start with the hadith in Bukhari. That's what caused them brought their back. Yeah, Bismillah.
Okay, this is page 420,
Yeah.
chapter 13, Lat Lies in Mythology. In order to comprehend the criticality of this topic, what is the reality of Lat and its exact relationship to the topic of Tawheed, one must have due regard to the very dangerous text found within the corpus of writings from Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, Miao. Unblemished, unaltered, it is quoted here in full. If you reflect on this great matter and know that the kuffar acknowledge all...
Saying, colon, open parenthesis,
yeah, not to be mixed up with what the doc says, yeah. So, if you reflect on this great matter and know that the kuffar acknowledge all of this to Allah alone, who has no partner, and that they only believed in their gods to seek intercession and draw closer to Allah as the Most High, said they worship alongside Allah things that can neither harm nor benefit them, and say these are our intercessors with Allah. That's 10:18. And in another verse, as far as those who choose other protectors besides him, saying we only worship them because they bring us nearer to Allah, 39:3. If this becomes clear to you and you understand it well, the mushrikeen have another argument, which is that they say it is truth, but the kuffar believe in al-asnam. In response, the definitive answer is thus: to be told that the kuffar in his time and place, and in his time, peace and blessings be upon him, they were among those who believed in idols, yet some of them believed in the grave of a righteous man like Allah.
That's the crucial point.
Among them are those that believed in the Salihin, the righteous, and they are the ones referred to by Allah when He, the Mighty and Sublime, said, "Those who pray to those they pray to are themselves seeking a way to their Lord, even those who are closest to Him. They hope for His mercy and fear His punishment. He, the Almighty, said that those who call them, whom they call the kuffar and claim to love them, are in fact righteous people who are in obedience to Allah, having hope and fear. If you discern the truth that He, the Almighty, the Blessed, mentioned in His book, that they believed in Salihin and that they only wanted to gain intercession with Allah by drawing near to Him, believing in those Salihin, and you discern the truth that Muhammad ﷺ did not differentiate between those who believed in al-Asnams and those who believed in Salihin. Rather, He fought all of them, judging them as kuffar." Unequivocal. The original was reality. So just a footnote: the original Arabic, the title is "What is the Reality of Allah?" Okay. Sorry. So that's
we end the quote now.
Yeah. One must note with all accuracy and clear the unbridled false claim.
The quote is ended.
Yes, the quote is ended.
Ended, yeah. Just it should be said there clearly. End quote.
Yeah, I mean it's visible when you see the text. It's visible because the way that they put it, they've indented it, and that's Muwalifat al-Sheikh al-Islam al-Imam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, volume 1, page 146.
Al-Fatiha, his collection and so on. Yeah. Okay, and the reference and so on. Yeah. Okay.
One must note with all accuracy and care the unbridled false claim that is asserted in the quote. The kuffar acknowledge all of this to Allah alone, who has no partner. With regards to where this matter was linked, the belief in the grave a righteous man with Allah and seeking to assert that this is as being a definitive proof upon the matter, this provides the necessary indication that definitively seeking to resolve this question, the truth and reality of Lat, is not only a topic of importance among many, but rather it is a central issue of Islam or Kufr. In other words, it is a matter of life and death. So next subsection, the Quranic text. Without doubt, the best approach to address this topic and discern the ultimate truth regarding Allah is to refer to Kitab Al-Aziz, the Holy Quran, the text which falsehood cannot touch from any angle, a revelation sent down from the Wise One, worthy of all praise. Contained therein, Allah is mentioned only once in Surah An-Najm. That's chapter 53. Disbelievers. This is Surah Surah An-Najm 41-42. Disbelievers consider Al-Lat and Al Uzza and the third one, Manat. Are you to have the male and he the female? That would be a most unjust distribution. These are nothing but names you have invented yourselves, and you and your forefathers. Allah has sent no authority for them. These people merely follow guesswork and the whims of their souls, even though guidance has come to them from their Lord. Is man to have everything he wishes for when the present life and the life to come belong only to Allah? There are many angels in heaven whose intercession will be of no use until Allah gives permission to those He will, whose words He will accept. Those who deny the life to come give the angels female names. They have no knowledge to base this on. They merely follow guesswork. Guesswork is of no value against the truth. So, Prophet, ignore those who turn away from our revelation, who want only the life of this world. Their knowledge does not go beyond that. Your Lord knows best who strays from his path and who follows guidance. And that's Quran 53, 19 and 30. Indeed, this is the entire wording of the surah, up to verse 18. The first grouping of verses sets out the context for the infallibility of the Prophet ﷺ. He doesn't speak from his own desire. It is but a revelation that is sent unto him. His heart does not distort what he saw or what has come to him. Doubt and the lingering whisper does not enter into his heart. Peace and blessings be upon him. There is no general mention within this context of angels or other heavenly beings, except in the sole reference made to Gabriel, alayhi salam, where he, the exalted, said, "It was taught to him by an angel with mighty powers and great strength."
That's one interpretation. علمه شديد القوى. Most scholars say is referred to Jibril. Some say is referred to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He taught him شديد القوى. But it seems to be the reference to Jibril is the strongest one. علمه شديد القوة ذو مرة فاستوى وبلغ كيف أعلى ثم دنا فتدلى. But it could be referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how he appears to him in vision. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Carry on.
Which is at the beginning of the surah. With regard to the three Lat, Al-Lat, Al-Uzza, and Manat, they were beliefs held by the Adnani Arabs, or some of them who believe that. Who believe that, number one, they are angels, the daughters of Allah, glory be unto him, for he is far above what they falsely ascribe to him. Allah is thus believed as being one of the daughters of Allah. In any case, the pagan Arabs hated that the newborn be a girl, yet they were happy to ascribe female children to Allah instead of males whom they preferred. So the verse rebuked them. Are you to have the male and the female, and he the female? That would be a most unjust distribution. According to the words of the Quraysh, there was exaggeration in the glorification of Al-Uzza, the daughter of Allah, mother of Allah, and Manat. For them, Allah is the granddaughter of Allah, as she is one of Allah's daughters.
And these three deities, all female clearly, because it's talking about female. Meaning all these are females. Quraysh says that Uzza is the mother, so there's the consort or the wife of Allah, and Lat and Manat are her daughters, so granddaughters, daughters of Allah. So Thaqif says no, Lat is the consort of Allah, and the Uzza and the Manat are daughters. It doesn't matter which one is what, but one is a consort, and two others are daughters. Okay.
Alternatively,
definitely all of them are females and presumed to be angelic being somehow, or spiritual being, not humans, not earthly or something, or material being.
Alternatively, number two, as Allah is the consort of Allah, being from the genus of the jinn, so she is considered as being one of the esteemed high-ranking nobility of the jinn.
We discussed that before also in the chapter, in the section, yeah.
Definitely, Allah is feminine, with there being unanimous agreement upon that confirmed in the majority of narratives and channels that have been outlined in this book. It is a statement of Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl, as it has been cited in Kitab Al-Islam, the Book of Idols, by Hisham ibn Muhammad al-Kalbi. It is also the statement of Abu Malik al-Suddi, Ibn Zayd al-Dahak, and Muhammad ibn Sa'ib al-Kalbi. It's repeatedly emphasized in the narrative regarding the demolition of a temple in At-Taif by Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, as reported in Shabba's Tariq al-Madinah from Al-Zuhri, and from other channels other than that of Al-Zuhri in Al-Maghadi by Al-Waqidi. Moreover, it is a statement reported from Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, may Allah be pleased with him, when he retorted to the insult of Urwa ibn Mas'ud al-Thaqafi. Abu Bakr replied to him, "Suck Allah's clitoris. You think we would flee and abandon him alone?" That has been reported in one of the most authentic channels cited by Al-Imam al-Bukhari in his collections of Sahih. Abdullah ibn Muhammad narrated to me, Abdul Razzaq narrated to us, Ma'mar reported to us, he said Al-Zuhri reported to me, he said that Urwa ibn Zubayr reported to me from Al-Miswar ibn Makhrama and Marwan, each attesting to the veracity of the hadith of his companion. They said the Messenger of Allah ﷺ set out during the time of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah until they were some way along the journey. Urwa ibn Masud said, "O Muhammad, won't you feel any scruple in extirpating your relations? Have you ever heard of anyone among the Arabs extirpating his relatives before you? On the other hand, if the reverse would happen, nobody will aid for you. By Allah, I do not see with you dignified people, but people from various tribes who would run away, leaving you alone." Upon hearing this, Abu Bakr said to him, "Suck Allah's clitoris. You think we would flee and abandon him alone?" Urwa replied, "Who is that?" They said, "It is Abu Bakr." He said, "By him in whose hands my life is, were it not for the favor which you did to me and which I did not compensate, I would retort on you." And that's in Sahih Bukhari, Kitab Shurut, the Book of Conditions. The narration is reported from various channels, appearing in the Musnad of Al-Ahmad, Imam Al-Ahmad ibn Hanbal, As-Sunnah al-Kubra of Al-Bayhaqi, the Musnad of Abu Ya'la, and many others. Tafsir of the verses, next subsection. At this juncture, it is critical to review the tafsir of the verses in question. Very often, only small fragments are presented at times, skewing crucial points. In this regard, the tafsir of Imam al-Tabari is pertinent. So this is the tafsir, said concerning the interpretation of the Almighty saying, "Disbelievers consider Al-Lat and Al-Uzza and the third one, Manat. Are you to have the male and he the female? That would be a most unjust distribution." He the Exalted in his remembrance said, "Have you considered, O Mushrikeen, Al-Lat, and she is from Allah, the latter, Ta, was appended to it, thus making it of the feminine, as it has been said, Amr from the masculine and Umara for the feminine. It was said for the masculine, Abbas, for the feminine, Abasa. Likewise, sorry?
Abasa.
Likewise, the Mushrikeen named their idols by the names of Allah, the Exalted. By the names of Allah, the Exalted, may His names be remembered and sanctified. So they said from Allah Al-Lat and from Al-Aziz Al Uzza. They claim that they are the daughters of Allah, the Exalted. Yet Allah is far from what they say and fabricate. And He, may He be glorified, said unto them, "Have you seen, O people that claim Al-Lat and Al-Uzza and Manat are the three daughters of Allah? Do they claim to the male? Do they lay claim to the male?" He said, "Do you choose for yourself the male offspring among children and hate the newborn as female? Yet you make for him the female who you don't like for yourselves, but you kill her, the newborn female, out of hatred." The pronunciation of the word Lat differed among the reciters. The readers of the garrison cities read it by minimizing the letter Ta, according to the meaning that was described. It has been mentioned that Al-Lat was a house among date palm trees that was worshipped by the Quraysh. Some of them said that it was located in the town of At-Taif. Among those who said as such are Bishr, narrated to us, Yazid, narrated to us. He said, Sa'id, narrated to us from Qatada, concerning the verse, "Disbelievers consider Al-Lat and Al-Uzza." He said, as for Lat, she was in At-Taif. Yunus narrated to us, he said, Ibn Wahab reported to us, he said, Ibn Zayd said concerning the interpretation of the verse, disbelievers consider Al-Lat and Al-Uzza. He said Al-Lat was a house, sanctuary, in the valley of Nakhla that was worshipped by the Quraysh. Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, and Abu Salih had the reading of Al-Lat with emphasis on Al-Tata, making it an adjective related to the idol that they worshipped. And they said it was a man who prepared the Sawiq for the pilgrims. After he died, people attended upon his grave and started worshipping it. Among those who have mentioned that reports stating that are Bishr narrated to us, he said Abdurrahman narrated to us, he said Sufyan narrated to us from Mansur, from Mujahid, concerning the verse, disbelievers consider Al-Lat and Al-Uzza. He said he was preparing the Sawiq for pilgrims and people converged at his graveside.
That's Mujahid saying that. Okay.
Mu'ammil narrated to us, he said Sufyan narrated to us from Mansur, from Mujahid, concerning the verse, disbelievers consider Al-Lat and Al-Uzza. He said Al-Lat prepared the Sawiq for the pilgrims. Ibn Humayd narrated to us, he said Mihran narrated to us from Sufyan, from Mansur, from Mujahid, concerning where he has said Al-Lat. He said he used to prepare Sawiq for the pilgrims. Upon passing away, people became devoted at his graveside. Ibn Humayd narrated to us, Jarir narrated to us from Mansur, from Mujahid, concerning where he has said Al-Lat. He said a man that used to prepare Sawiq for the Mushrikeen. When he passed away, people became devoted at his graveside. Ahmed ibn Hisham narrated to us, he said Ubaydullah ibn Musa narrated to us from Israel, from Abu Salih, concerning where he said Al-Lat. He said Al-Lat was the one who used to service their gods, preparing the Sawiq, and was located at At-Taif. Ahmed ibn Yusuf narrated to me, he said Abu Usaid narrated to us, he said Abdurrahman narrated to us from Abu Ashab, from Abu Jawza, from Ibn Abbas. He said he was preparing Sawiq for the pilgrims. At-Tabari, regarding the first of the two readings.
The one you just read is the same one that in Bukhari, from Abu Ashab, from Abu Jawza. From Abu Jawza, yeah. Keep that in mind. We'll come to that later. Yeah.
At-Tabari, regarding the first of the two readings, that is the most correct according to us, in that it is the reading which has the letter Ta without stressing it, relating to the meaning of that attribute as read earlier. There is conferred ijma from the reciters of the garrison cities regarding that. With regard to Al-Uzza, there's a disagreement among the scholars of interpretation about that. Some of them said that the name related to the trees that they, the Mushrikeen, worshipped. Among those who have stated that, Ibn Bashar narrated to us, he said Mu'wamil narrated to us, he said Sufyan narrated to us from Mansur, from Mujahid, concerning mentioned in the verse of Al-Uzza. He said Al-Uzza was a tree. Al-Tabari, others have said Al-Uzza was a white stone. Those who mentioned that, Ibn Humayd narrated to us, he said Yaqub narrated to us from Ja'far, from Zayd ibn Jubair, he said Al-Uzza is a white stone. At-Tabari, others have said that it was a house located in Taif, a Taif that was worshipped by the tribe of Thaqif. Those who mentioned that, Yunus narrated to us, he said Ibn Wahab reported to us, he said Ibn Zayd said in relation to where he said Al-Uzza, he said Al-Uzza was a house located in Taif. It was worshipped by Thaqif.
He's confusing it with Al-Lat, definitely. There was no Uzza in Taif.
At-Tabari, others have said it was a sanctuary in the valley of Al-Nakhla. Among those who have said that, Bishr narrated to us, he said Yazid narrated to us, he said Sa'id narrated to us from Qatada, concerning the mention in the verse of, and the third one, Manat, he said, as for Manat, there were gods in Gadid which were worshipped. That is to say, Al-Lat, Al-Uzza, and Manat. Yunus narrated to us, he said Ibn Wahab reported to us, he said Ibn Zayd said in relation to where he said, and the third one, Manat, he said Manat was a house, sanctuary in Mashallal, which was worshipped by Bani Ka'b. Arab linguists differed regarding the pronunciation of the last letter of the word Allat and Manat. Some of the grammarians of Basra said that when one pauses after them, they should be pronounced Allat. Similarly, it is said of Manah as Manat. Others have said with regard to Allat, it was made as Allat, the Arab linguists being silent upon pronunciation of the ta and ha, saying, I saw Talhat. As for everything that is written within the ha, it stands with a ta upon it, towards the blessing of your Lord and a tree. While some grammarians of Kufa pronounced Allah as being disbelievers, considered Allah, others used to say that there's some discretion in pronunciation of words that are with the letter ha ending, mercy from my Lord, rahmata min rabbi, and a tree sprouts forth, washajarata takhraja. What is added is permissible without having the letter da and ha, but when it is connected, it can either be pronounced with da or ha sounding at the end. Is this in relation to Tarmabuta? Is this all relation to Tarmabuta? And whether it's a
yeah, it can be written like this and like this, but this is all because they think it's a genuinely Arab word. It's actually as we will discuss later, is Aramaic, old Aramaic, Babylonic word, very old one. We'll mention that later.
Okay, and so if it's imported, would there be a modification to make it feminine with the Tarmabuta, indicating that it is definitely
no. In the Quran, for example, Shajara is written usually with Ta marbuta, but in one place they got two, it's with Ta maftuha. So if you stop there, Shajarat Zaqqum or something, Shajarat. You stop and say Shajarat, not Shajara, because it's written with Ta maftuha.
So what does that indicate? It's still feminine, but it's just using the solid ta.
Yeah. You can use this and this, yeah.
Okay. This opinion is the more likely and the most adopted one among Arabs, even if there were other opinions. Some of the rhetoricians from Basra were saying that Allat, Al Uzza, and the third Manat were idols made of stone that were inside the Kaaba and worshipped there. And that's
you see how they have here. One say it as idols in the Kaaba, some say it's a house, some say it's a stone. It's all of that. These are idols or watan for this angelic being or this satanic being. But they it's like the mushrikeen now in India. They regard the god idol is equal to the god, something like that. That's the same problem. But if you look behind that, all of it's correct and all of it's wrong.
So all are applicable.
Because it's referred to as a heavenly entity or an angelic entity, and sometimes it's just an idol in a woman form. Sometimes it's a stone. Sometimes it's a house. All of them are watan or sanam. Supposed to be to incorporating Allah or Al-Uzza or whatever it is. Having it merged with that or connecting, like an ear for the god or an eye for the god or something like that. It's part of the god. Communication tool of the god. Yeah.
One will notice that Imam al-Tabari stood firmly in line with the truth, with certitude emphasizing it is confirmed ijma from the reciters of the garrison cities upon the recitation of Allah with a light ta. That is contrary to any anomalous reading which is purportedly attributed to Ibn Abbas and only found by a small minority. It is false and invalid. Establishing Quran is not a haphazard affair. Rather, readings are confirmed by way of textual tawatur or firmly established ijma, not by any other way. Imam al-Tabari was not beguiled, let alone deceived by myth about a man preparing sawiq. Okay, so just if you want to, so basically, what's the summary here then in this then?
And that's just the story with a lot of various stories about the Arab people. Then we'll go what's the reality of that. There's not a pious man who was doing taqweeq. It's a completely different. But that's what filtered at the time of Ibn Abbas, and even the attribution to Ibn Abbas in the narrative of Bukhari is wrong. It is Tadlis of Abu al-Ashhab there. It's not from Ibn Abbas or someone else. But Abu al-Ashhab messed it up. That's it. Whatever is there is going only to Mujahid or someone else. If it would have been from Abbas, Mujahid would have said that, but it's not from Ibn Abbas or someone else. Must say Arab myths and so on, and he thought maybe it has some serious core of the truth in it, or he summarized it in the wrong way. That will appear.
Professor, so what you meant by the last paragraph that we read is that these linguists assumed that the ta at the end of la came from the pagans as a way to make the Allah ilah feminine, correct? Okay. I mean that's the essential point, regardless of how you pronounce it, correct? Yeah. And
it is in this wording almost exactly. Illat is a Babylonic word anyway.
I see. And even if I recall correctly from the Book of Tawheed, I don't know if it's from your saying or you're just reporting their saying, is that they are assuming that because they made this ta'nith, they made Allah ilah feminine, Allah. So now they assume that it is the consort of Allah, the wife of Allah.
No, this is the same story of the Babylonian. It's all from the Babylonian. But later people do not know that these roots, and they try to speculate how this come with the ta and so on.
I see. Because it's very interesting. We have two interpretations. Some say that Allah, this one, is a consort of Allah, and some say it's the daughter of Allah. But how
the gods change their position, that's standard by mushrikeen.
I see. But from what we have, from what we have from Quran, Allah stresses in different ayahs that they are the daughters of Allah, not the consort of Allah. So let me give you the ayah.
The ayah says, read the ayah carefully.
Yes.
Which one is all of them are untha, definitely. But which one is a consort, we don't know.
But in different contexts, we know. Let me give you the ayah. وَجَعَلُوا لَهُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ جُزْءًا استغفر الله أم اتخذ مما يخلق بنات وأصفاكم بالبنين. And then let me skip وَجَعَلوا الملائكة الذين هم عباد الرحمن إناثا أشهدوا خلقهم ستكتب شهادتهم ويسألون.
من ناحية التأنيث والتذكير. Fine, that's it.
But the ayah that we read before وَجَعَلوا له من عباد أم اتخذ مما يخلق بنات. So banatin وأصفاكم بالبنين. Banatin is the daughters.
I understand. No doubt about it. I'm not doubting that. But I'm saying, read the ayah in Surah Al-Najm in which the Allah is mentioned. You say, أرأيتم اللات والعزى ومناة الثالثة الأخرى. All of them are female. ألكم الذكر وله الأنثى. You attribute daughters to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which one of those, or all of them daughters, or some of them daughters, and some of them consort, we don't know.
Okay.
Don't read the ayah more than it is, and don't take from it out what it says.
Okay, you're talking specific.
All of them are definitely female. Maybe all of them are daughters. Maybe all of them are consorts.
Okay, but we don't know. Yes,
and at least one of them must be a daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rebuking them for giving him female, why they hate the females? They don't want female.
Okay.
They should allocate to Allah the same thing they allocate to themselves. At least the minimum. They did not do it.
But in the case of Allah specifically, we don't know. It could be a daughter or it could be
that's exactly what historically we know. In Thaqif, Allah is the consort of Allah, and then Manat and the Uzza must be daughters. In Quraysh, we have the witness of Zayd ibn Luhayy. I mean, he said, تركت العزى وبنتيها. So for him, the mother of بنتيها. إذ كان يعني يقول إذ كان حلمي صغير. My mind was small. I was believing that Al-Uzza and Ibn are divine. Now I graduated. My mind is now big. I deny all these deities because he became a monotheist. He's the father of Sa'id ibn Zayd ibn Nufayl. He's one of them who became monotheist and stayed on monotheism until they died. So that's it. So you can fix it. Maybe someone will come and say, no, Manat is the mother of the other daughter. You never know. Invent another story.
Yeah.
You can ready to invent stories to fix gods or make the god important from one place belong to the gods, local gods, and vice versa.
Yeah, nothing is fixed to them. That's the most complicated thing.
Dynamic.
Subhanallah. Okay,
the extended universe. Far away, bruv. Another brother wants to say something.
Yeah. Sorry. With the ayah in Surah Najm, فرأيتم اللات والعزى ومناة الثالثة الأخرى ألكم الذكر وله الأنثى. Is it not at least established that Manat must be a female, because that's literally the last thing that is mentioned before he says ألكم الذكر وله الأنثى. So clearly he's refuting. Like they must be saying that these idols are untha, especially in Manat, no?
Or these entities, it's not necessarily idols. They may be having only a watan. We don't know what are represented for the mushrikeen. Usually it will be an idol or a watan or something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm saying that it seems quite clear in my head. Am I wrong to assume that that it is established that they're taking these three as daughters of Allah?
Because he rebukes them.
Yeah. So
they are either taking all of them or some of them. If they take one of them as daughter of Allah, then allocate it to Allah female. Why they should not allocate to Allah females, which they hate for themselves. At least for respect for Allah, you should allocate to him the thing you like for yourself, at least. That would be the normal logic, which is obviously false, but it would be better than allocating him that what you despise.
Okay.
That's the main point in this.
Okay. Just thinking, we're coming up to 10 to 10, or 52 past 9. Still got a lot to get through. Shall we bring it to an end and then carry on next week?
What's the time now?
It's 9:52. The reason for that is because somebody sent something over which is relevant to Kitab At Tawheed, but a different section. I wanted to read it out because the brother does a lot of work.
So we have come to a certain stop, like for example, a subsection or something.
Yeah. So the next subsection is pronunciation and variant readings. So it starts as follows: one of the obsessive adherents to the sect of Wahhabism objected to this, attempted to stubbornly argue that the pronunciation with stress on the letter T. was transmitted by Tawatur from.
We keep that for next time, yeah.
Okay, inshallah, excellent.
But in that we have to try to cover everything conceivable to show that whatever they say is false, is not correct. And I'll get what is the real story of that. Again, Amr ibn Luhayy plays a role there. We'll come to.
Cheeky man. Okay, so that's going to be page 428 next week, the section starting pronunciation and variant readings. So if anyone wants to make any comments, feel free, inshallah. We'll keep it to Tawheed because I want to read something out from one of the brothers who's been very, very diligent in sending questions, and it's very inquisitive as well.
We may take the question, then maybe the brothers prepare their questions if they are. But this is just expanding on essentially trivial things, trying to get all the corners of the issue. Ibn Abdul Wahhab relied on the narration of Bukhari, which is, they said, first of all, his reliance is also fallacy because it's from Ibn Abbas, it's not marfu'. There's no way that this can be an authority by itself. And then even it's not from Ibn Abbas, as we have clarified. And then it contradicts the making a man, a pious man, contradicts that Allah is female. Like probably discussed that Allah is necessarily a female. Now, daughter or consort doesn't matter, it's female. And the Rajul Salih, the pious man, is a man who's doing Sawiq and things like that. We should all discuss down the road. That's the point. So we wanted to finish that point for good, forever. That's the reason it is so long drawn and so on. Someone will say, oh, there's no need for that. It's very clear. Yeah, it's very clear. But the problem, because someone muddied the water, we have to clarify it. We have to do filtering, which is a complex process. That's it.
Sorry, Sheikh, just one last question I had is in regards to Ijma' here, is Ijma' being used as an evidence based on the hadith of the Prophet that Majtama Ummati I can't remember what it was.
No. If all read that, then it says another reading is singular. No, nobody read with the ta' mushaddada. That's Tabari said, all Ijma' al-Hujjah min al-Qur'an, all Qur'an reading with the la ta', not with the la ta'.
So it's not using necessarily Ijma' as itself an evidence.
No. It's just Ijma'. If all read like that, it must be like that. It's Ijma' of narration. It's not a point. That's what we hear and that's what we're repeating. It's Ijma' of narration. It's more than essentially. And that's all what he's using. not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
So basically, establish something intrinsic within the language.
If you hear an accident that a car jumped on the second floor in a building, you don't believe it until you meet 100 people all tell you, oh, we saw it yesterday in Oxford Street, for example. Then this is Ijma', so it must have happened like that. There's nothing over or no over. There's no way they could have lied or imagined that. All of them.
Makes sense.
One may imagine that, but another may collude it, a third may be taking you for a ride, but it becomes 50, 70, over.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the point. It's just narration over narration over narration without anyone dissenting in a matter which is linguistic, which you hear it and you pronounce it and write it. In the writing, you cannot see if there's shadda because the Quran is devoid from these harakat. We know that, but remain to see is it shadda or something, or see the pronunciation of the reader. All reader Tabari knows that he scanned all the readers his time, essentially, all reading schools, all of them, nobody say Allah. So if they continue, say, if it would be mushaddad, you say, أرأيتم اللات والعزى ومناة. All of them, أرأيتم اللات والعزى, without shadda. That's it. All of them. Nobody say اللات والعزى. Yeah.
Okay.
Including the Basri. The Basri is known to make shadda everywhere it's even remotely possible. Like, for example, if you have the same letter is related to the haraka, you cannot make shadda then. But the Basri will put them together and drop the haraka and make shadda. In almost everywhere in the Quran, they call it Idgham al-Kabir of Amr ibn Luhayy. It's a way of the Arab pronunciation. Even the one of Idgham Kabir does not do Idgham here. So this makes even more suspicious that there's no Idgham. There's only one tap, not double tap.
By the way, there's a tribe in Jordan. They make tafkhim of Allah. There's a tribe of Jordan called Al-Abdallat.
Yeah.
So it's a tafkhim.
That's the only reader reading like that is Warsh from Nafi'. He reads like that, yeah. The fakhr.
Okay.
Salat.
I see.
Salat, yeah. Only Warsh. Nobody's doing tafkhim except Warsh. Salat.
I mean, this tribe in Jordan, so it's strange. It's not in Morocco.
No, it's an Arab pronunciation, a genuine Arab pronunciation since the time of recordation of the Quran. Yeah.
Professor, just a small question related to what we have read, and then I will shut up, inshallah. So you asserted in the book, at least in the Arabic version, that Allat وهذا القول الثاني هو الصحيح المنسجم. You are referring to the people who said that Allat is a sahibatullah, is a consort of Allah. So if you want me to read the exact wording,
it doesn't matter. I'm referring that it is not mushaddada. That's what it's female and not mushaddada. That's
okay.
It. Because it is a two one. One it is a man and so on, and one is a female and so on. That's what I mean. So maybe I should clarify that. I will check the Arabic one, inshallah. Improve edition. Yeah.
Yeah, because it could be 50-50, a consort or a daughter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It is feminine. That's it.
Feminine. Yes.
That's the point. Feminine because of the ayah. It doesn't let anything.
Okay. Jazakallah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And in the case of the Qurayshi, because the first addressee are the Qurayshi believe that Al-Uzza is the consort and the Lat and Manat the daughter. So she is one of the daughters. No doubt about that. First addressee. So the address must address everyone who has the various points of view. So in any khurafa, in any myth, she is either a daughter or consort. If a daughter, then she cannot be female. And they are rebuked because of that. Okay?
I see. Okay, Jazakallah khair.
Okay, Farhat, you want to say something?
No, you were going to ask a question. I think you should mention that, then we'll carry on talking from there.
No problem, inshallah. Okay, so this is from my brother Abu Wahab. You've probably corresponded with him as well. One of the guys who's very active on Telegram. So he said this is in relation to Kitab At Tawheed. It's an observation. I think it's possible addition. Let me just bring up the message. Okay, I'd like you to read this to Professor in tonight's episode. It relates to an issue in the book of Monotheism, Kitab At Tawheed. Salam, Dr. Muhammad. I would like to delve into a subject you touched on briefly in your book, Kitab At Tawheed. You mentioned it in passing in chapter 9, the oneness of legislation and divine sovereignty, specifically in the section titled Aspects of how the Quran and Sunnah indicate that ultimate authority belongs solely to divine law, and more precisely in Fasl branch, the fifth aspect, the obligation to abandon all treatments that do not emanate from the Islamic creed. You said, thus so peace and blessing be upon his family, statement, whoever introduces into the matter of ours that which is not from it, it is rejected, necessarily means that anything that is not from Islam, such as what originates from socialism, capitalism, liberal democracy, tribal or national customs, and what is termed civilization or social specificities and the like, must be rejected and refused, and it is not permissible to adhere to it. And since Islam is entirely based on referring back to Allah and His Messenger and on acceptance and submission to them, it becomes necessary that anything that must be rejected and is prohibited to accept is considered disbelief, kufr, utterly opposed to Islam. From my perspective, however, this topic truly deserves its own dedicated chapter, perhaps even an entire section. God has spoken in many verses of the Quran about Islam and what is outside of Islam in absolute terms. He described Islam as light and whatever is not Islam as darkness. For example, Allah says in the following verse, Allah is the ally of those who believe. He brings them out of darkness into light. But those who disbelieve, their allies are false gods. They take them out of light into darkness. Those are the companions of the fire. They abide therein eternally. Surah Baqarah, Allahu alladhi. This theme is repeated frequently throughout the Quran. Remarkably, the Quran always refers to darkness in the plural form while referring to light in the singular. This firmly establishes that anything that is not Islam is not derived from it is without a doubt misguidance and loss. This applies perfectly to any ideology such as communism, capitalism, and others. Alongside the use of terms light and darkness, the Quran also uses guidance, huda, in contrast to misguidance, dalal, and insight, basira, in contrast to blindness, ama. There is another verse in Surah Al-Isra that is particularly striking and worthy of reflection. Allah says, indeed, this Quran guides to that which is most upright and gives glad tidings to the believers who do righteous deeds that they will have a great reward. That's Surah Isra 17:9. This verse, Doctor, contains an important message for every simple person, as well as every philosopher and thinker, that God has placed in this message the best and most perfect path to manage your lives, individually, collectively, politically, and so on. I am speaking here only about this worldly life, regardless of the afterlife, judgment, reward, or punishment. For example, the issue of inheritance. Some thinkers, and especially women from non-Muslim backgrounds, may object to the rule that a male shall receive the share of two females, considering it unjust. However, God has settled the matter by declaring that this Quran guides to that which is most upright, with the guarantee of God Himself. This means that it is the best possible inheritance system, taking into account the system of the universe, the nature of males and females, and other related Islamic rulings, such as financial responsibility and provision. Taking into account all the considerations mentioned, the conclusion is that this system of inheritance is the best of all, guaranteed by Allah the Almighty. As I mentioned at the beginning, Doctor, I believe this topic deserves a significant place in Kitab At Tawheed. Also, I am currently compiling the verses that mention the words light, darkness, guidance, misguidance, blindness, and insight, and I will send them to you tomorrow, God willing, so that you can review them and explore the subject further.
Good.
So,
Complete it. There is no hurry for tomorrow, because when we get to the book, inshallah, would have reviewed things and improve it, inshallah. Okay, yeah.
Well, firstly, they're really well written, mashallah, very well written. But what are your thoughts generally about the way of structuring conceptually?
It's a good aspect to stress for showing Islam to the others. Yeah.
So is your view is similar to, like, for example, Masla and Mafsada in terms of how it's supporting.
the only we discussed it in Taymiyyah, saying that the Sharia came only to establish maslaha and prevent mafsada. Say no, the only is the problem. It does establish maslaha and prevent mafsada, but did not come for that. It comes for my khat al-insa ila liya'budu. It comes for this, and this enshrined maslaha and mafsada. It did not come for that. That's not the final target. And it did not come for dunya alone. It comes for akhirah in the first place and dunya. The same with فإما يأتينكم منه هدى فمن تبع هداي فلا يضل ولا يشقى ومن أعرض عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا ونحشره يوم القيامة أعمى. So we turn away from the dhikr, we'll have a miserable life. So already here, yeah, that's it. But that's not the reason. The reason has come. The dhikr has come. No, has come to so that life has created to test أيكم أحسن عملا, and the conscious being having created to surrender and slave themselves to Allah absolutely and unconditionally. That's it. In that process, it is the good life and it's enshrined. It's good there. And for believer, they should apply that for details of the law. We think it looks like it is not as balanced as they think. No, it is more balanced than they think. If you take the whole Sharia in the totality, like for example, you mentioned the inheritance law. Yeah, the inheritance law will be unjust if the wife is obliged to spend on the household like the man. No, he's not. She's not obliged to spend anything at all. She's not obliged to support herself in anything. Not only the wife, female are not support. They should support by their parents, by the husbands, or by the state. And all their money is for their enjoyment completely. And they can give charity even to the husband. The husband cannot give charity to his wife. That's impossible. He has a obligatory nafaqah, and then after whatever remains after that, at the end of the year, then zakah is due on that. But for the wife, nothing is due on her money except the zakah and the other legitimate taxes. And she can give even her own charity to her husband. And then from a story of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud.
So,
do you have any
so if you take all in balance, it is the well-balanced one. Yeah.
So from your perspective, does this warrant its own section in Kitab At Tawheed? Or
expand more in the appropriate place. Make it more expanded. Yeah, we should expand it and develop it more. But I was more concerned about the problem, say, the Sharia has come for this. No, it has not come for this.
I mean, generally speaking, I mean, such a track could be very useful, as you mentioned, for example, for
but
for example, different proofs, etc., etc.
I'm giving an example. That's all good. Especially in example of inheritance law, show that this way, because another society is enacted, and this one the one which makes life well balanced, not the Western society.
That's actually a great example from the brother to mention that.
Yeah.
But my only take about that is that I see that many Muslims, alhamdulillah, they're trying their best to convince non-Muslims, because the brother mentioned non-Muslim, about how Sharia is easy to follow, is logical, is synchronized well with the human nature, etc. But I think that our main focus should be on Aqidah. You know, explaining to them.
That's the reason I avoided to expand on that excessively, because it diverts the attention from the fundamental point. That's number one. And this is the first one. And secondly, there is this trap that yes, you explained how the Sharia is consistent, but in its totality, how it's another society altogether, until the viewer look how it is internally consistent, how it's synchronous. That's to show that it has a divine origin. That's part of the evidences for its divine origin.
Okay, I see.
That's the aspect. That's the aspect. That it guarantees that. That's enshrined in the Quran clearly. And you have to it after you have established a revelation.
Yeah, indeed. That's a great point, actually. Yes.
But the best way to establish a revelation is independent from what the content of the revelation, in the sense that obviously if the content is contradictory, the Quran says clearly, there should be no contradiction there, which cannot be done by ta'wil. There may be metaphors, there may be giving examples and things like that, but if it's a clear contradiction, which cannot be tolerated, it can't be from Allah. Things like that. That's where the evidence should go. And based on that, then when you say, it must be, even if I don't see the wisdom there, how it is balanced, it would be balanced, definitely, by the guarantee of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you're referring to something ghaibi. Because that, for example, with the regulation, with who support women. What's the function of women in the society? Matter of support, money making. Absolutely none. Can they own money? Until very recently, they don't own anything. When they are not married, the father owns them, and in time past, even he can sell them. Until very recently, even in the West, theoretically, they will not do it as slavery yet. In the last 2-3 centuries, before that, he can sell. Until recently, the Chinese father can sell his daughters and sons even. And until they liberated that, he could not own. In the household, they have nothing. The husband can't sell the house without the wife agreeing or disagreeing. Only recently in America that was set aside by a law at the Supreme Court decision in 1970s. Imagine, 1970s. Before that, she has no right to own anything. The husband owns her and owns everything. So if you look at all of that, then it's clear that the system is excellent, well-balanced. But you have to look to all it, and you have also to clean it from the culture and the mistakes of the fuqaha. No doubt about that. But that's the moment someone becomes Muslim, he should know the fundamental principle and the general rule, and based on trust. But we have no trust, blind trust, but based on trust on that what I have already verified and proven. I have proven that, and we build on that. We make a solid base at the top of it, solid first floor, second first floor, and so on. Second floor, third floor, we build like that. But we have to have a strong base. And the pillars in the first floor will be stronger than the second floor because they have to carry more and so on. That's the way to build. The same with the Sharia. While the secular Sharia and so on is haphazard. They fix a problem here, tear a problem there, and so on, because it's not connected. And no way.
But eventually, that's absolutely clear. But eventually, Professor, even if Sharia, assuming that it is complicated, it is difficult, it doesn't fit synchronize with human nature. Suppose that in any case, a Muslim who acknowledged Allah as his ultimate savior has to bow down and follow Sharia, regardless.
But in the final Sharia, we have guarantees. We said that in the previous Sharia, there are injunctions clearly for punishment.
Yes.
Clearly, and the revelation says clearly, I'm punishing you for this and this and this. Like after the Babylonic exile, you should not establish kingdom. Finish, over. That's the punishment for you. I'm degrading you deliberately. So, but they are told it's a degradation. Because when they ask for royal monarchy, the Prophet advised them, this is dangerous, it will result in this. Read Samuel, go to Samuel 1 and read the discussion there. I have summarized that in Al-Malakiyya Al-Warathiyya Nizam Kufr wa Jaw. Discuss that, the details of this. They have one word, and then okay, you want to take it, but under one condition. When kings become tyrannical, which they will inevitably come without any doubt, Allah warned them already, then I will not accept your supplication against your kings. You go solve your problem by yourself. You will not get any help from me. Forget about me. Straightforward. Is it Samuel? So things are clear if you take them comprehensively. So, but maybe stressing more what the brother said is good. Adding that more flavor, yes, and more one example, expand on it and things like that. Yeah. Good. Any other question?
Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said in Surah A'raf, وَيَضَعُ عَنْهُمْ إِصْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ, by the final Sharia. The difficult commandments that the Jews had, Prophet ﷺ, he would ease it on them. He would just abrogate them altogether with his Sharia.
Because he said, أول شيء يأمر بالمعروف وينهى عن المنكر, meaning, and this the main part of commanding good and free is محاسبة الحكام. Now it's the system of محاسبة, of strict muhasabah and control of rulers and condemning any deviation and abuse of powers. Islam is excellent in that, which unfortunately most fuqaha have completely demolished and hidden under the table. But they cannot erase it because the record is protected. In Bani Israel, they succeed in erasing pretty bit. It's number one. So all goods are now making permissible, and also if something is It's prohibited, it has have some evil aspect, even if you don't see it at the moment. I mean, you need some long research. You don't need. If it's prohibited, there's something evil there. You just avoid it until research will show what is the evil aspect. And then ويضع عنهم إصرهم والأغلال التي كانت عليهم. They were yokes on their necks, they were chains on their legs, they were enslaved by divine command. And sometimes by their scholars and so some of it from Allah, some of them from themselves. That will be all broken by Muhammad alayhi salam. Completely.
Yes.
And the main break is not only abrogating these things, also closing the door of anyone in direction. So the majority, كثيرا غالبا means the majority. كثير is not كثير in number, in absolute, but also relatively more than half. They consume people wealth for without justification, and they misguide from the way of Allah. So beware of them. Don't regard them as an authority. Be cautious about them. Look at them with critical eye. And another place, condemning the Jews and Christians, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. Don't do that. When the other ayah, تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله ولا يتخذ بعضنا بعضا أربابا من دون الله. This way, 90% of the yokes and chains are broken. Because who puts yokes and chains? These scholars and monks. Besides possible divine punishment. Divine punishment, I'd say of that. خلاص. The end of Surah Al-Baqarah and that Muhammad is the one who breaks these chains and so on. Is a final prophet. Nothing will come of that. So we know that it's the Sharia of mercy, the Sharia of easement. The Hanifiyya السهلة السمحة, like in the style of Ibrahim, not the tough one like in the style of Musa. The style of Musa was tough one. Covenant by force. You mountain on top of their head. Either you give the covenant or I smash you into pieces. But that's all terror. Almost. That's all gone. Because they were enslaved for centuries. So they have to get out of the slave mentality. And they did not help. They were forced to die in the wilderness after 40 years. Until a new generation, a little bit of freedom is in place, and so on. So that's different. That's a historical situation. It came back to the original Ibrahim, the Hanifiyya, Samha, Sahla, the easy, tolerant religion. And that's Samha. Millat Ibrahim, that's Millat Ibrahim. The Hanifiyya, the easy, the tolerant, the easygoing, no complication, no hair splitting, and so on. But if you look at the fuqaha, most books, tons of hair splitting. That's no place. It's just a tendency of scholars and so on to show intellectual muscles. No, thank you very much. Keep your intellectual for yourself. Yeah, we can discuss that also, inshallah. Yeah, add that in some places too, as a warning. Maybe add that especially against Ahbar and Ruhban and worse even, magician and coins and things like that. All of these in the same class. Intellectual sellouts. Now university professors and academicians, most of them are also traitors. Honest, if you check how many books written about the economic system and how to increase and decrease the interest rate and so on to encourage business and so on. Get rid of the usury completely and see how the world changed. Say, how come finance? Finance with your means now. At the beginning it is slow, but it will become stable. You don't finance borrowing and your grandkids have to pay it out. Let's work this way. You finance from what you have now. At the beginning it's slow, but then accelerate correctly from what's available now. Not borrowing from a future, invest what you have now. The money you have now, and the muscle power you have now, and the brain you have now. And then you keep things for your next generation. Next generation have to invest their own muscles, their own mind, and their own money. And you will create the money by them. And so this way really would be growth, which goes to a stability. And then will become in a phase, you come to a place where things will stable. Now everyone is obsessed with it. We have to have growth. The economy is stagnating. There's no stagnating. It's stagnating because of you, because of your usurious system. Using a system meaning the currency really falling down, which is a counterfeit currency, is falling down. So you have to nominally have more dollars. But in reality, you have less than in time past. If you look for clearly, in reality, you have less than time past. Less prosperity, less good life. Look at Europe 50 years ago and America 50 years ago. Much more prosperous than average per person. But they fixate on the gross GDP. What's the GDP? It's nonsense. GDP has grown so and so much, but you look how many homeless are there in America now. In time, I was in the educational office in Colorado. It's almost impossible to find anyone homeless. It's beyond any imagination. Now, someone visited America recently, San Francisco, which was a jewel city in appearance and beauty and so on, one of the most beautiful cities in North America. Under every bridge and crossing, there are cardboard houses for homeless people. Even their company produces cardboard, especially to build homeless houses.
Most of them are crackheads, ya Sheikh. Go to Philadelphia. You will see them.
Even if they're crackheads, how come this crackhead emerged? Some failure in the society, in the education, some failure in characteristics, some failure in commitment, some failure in understanding the world. Combined failure.
They even have like entire, almost like mini cities with homeless people, and then people living out there, people working, living out of their cars.
Crackheads, but what produced them? Why they are produced now more than in time past? There must be a reason for that.
Look, despair,
because whatever they do, they cannot achieve what the previous generation. And one said, I saw a tweet of someone say, my grandfather, because he's now in the 2020, was written that 2021. Then my grandfather in the 50s had two cars. One he takes for work, and one is with my grandmother. She doesn't work. He has only one paycheck, and he was able to pay the installment of the house. When he retired, the house is owned by my father and so on, and the other kids. So they have some property, something to hold it alive. And she was running the household, attending to the children and everything, picking them up, getting them to school, picking them up, and so on. Two cars, and house being paid in installment. Yes, you can't buy outright cash, that's clear, but in installment and so on. And see, now I went with my wife last week, and there was a luxurious type of bread seeded or something. We were discussing, can we buy it or we cannot? Imagine, we discussed buying seeded bread. And we have two paychecks, and we cannot afford even one car. We are forced to use public transport. And there's no hope to buy a house. Forget about that. We're discussing to buy a seeded bread, seeded with sesame or something like that, just to have a bit of change from the plain vanilla bread.
Can't drive very far on it either.
Yeah. If you look at this, you see what is happening. So the growth is just cancerous growth. Nominal paper money, which has no value really. But the people have been so tuned that they think only in dollar values instead of in gold values. Nobody thinks in gold values. And they have to think that we're thinking in dollar values. Oh, your salary is now 2,000. Next year it will be 2,100. You should be thankful. No. It's sinking continuously. I cannot buy with what my grandpa was doing with 500, a check of 600. I can't. I'm just mentioning these things as a sweetener for them. So the whole system has to, but it cannot be fixed by just one outlet. You have to abolish the currency system completely. There will be no central bank. If any, just to ease people transaction, like issue the papers, it must be one-to-one exactly covered with gold, even nominally. Or issues only for the gold you have in the treasury. And you will find the argument, oh, but there's enough gold to issue all the currency. There will be enough, don't worry. It will be enough. It will do the necessary. But we will go to used to the usury system and to the poison of counterfeit currency. This counterfeit currency, but only the one who can counterfeit is the government. If you counterfeit, they cut your hand and dump you in prison for 15, 20 years. But they do it all the time. But they do it obviously in an intelligent way if they are a solid major company like country like America. If they are third-rate country, you have runaway inflation, 50% per month and so on, because they just print like crazy. Because it's not an international currency, nobody is checking them, so they can take liberty. And ultimately, it may end like the Weimar Republic. It's not going to end well. But that's just part of the system. If you don't have this in the system, it doesn't help that the female inherit half or double, or it doesn't make any difference. If they inherit fake dollars. Well, the system has to be tuned properly. There's no way to work with it, have a system, have one leg cut and the other one tell the people to walk. Say, I need crutches, give me crutches. And then they give a crutch, then the other leg is cut and you need 2 crutches. Then ultimately you fall. You cannot live all your life on 2 crutches. That's what has happened. And it will express itself. It takes sometimes some time, especially with major powers, with institutions and university professors analyzing and philosophizing. But ultimately, it will catch up with you. The reality will catch up with you. There's no way you can escape. It starts from the bottom. Because drug heads and drug addicts, where they come from? Fall from heaven? They came from the star system of Vega? No, they're from here, homegrown. They're homegrown, from Earth. How come that they increase the number? What's going on there? Okay, so anyway, it's a good idea what the brother said. It's good that he will work on that and work exams and so on. We can flesh some of it in the Book of Tawheed. But as I said, I was focusing on stopping any idea that the Sharia come for this. No, but come is clear. خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيها. So the whole universe created for testing. This is the decision made at the foundation of the world. You accept it, you accept it, it's not going to change. It's happened, it's done. And we know it's a good decision because ultimately Allah is the supreme, has the supreme knowledge and supreme power. And the perfect, above any deficiency and their evil desire. So it must be good. Even if you feel it is painful or something, you say, I can't understand this. It doesn't matter because you have to comprehend the whole universe to understand that. So you have to accept that. You have no other choice. What you are going through, there is no God. It doesn't solve the problem. The suffering is still there. The tsunamis are still there. The volcanoes are still there. That's number one. Number two, conscious being, why they're created with this consciousness in the testing universe so that they worship me. They recognize me as the ultimate Lord and submit to me. At least they appreciate that I created them from nothing, that I did that, I gave them eyesight, give them mind, give them... At least appreciate that. Say, yes, you are my Lord. I submit. That's all what I need. No more. Show at least that you appreciate your mind by expressing it rationally. Rationally meaning, you are the supreme mind, I am a minor created secondary mind. The secondary mind will never be able, it's impossible rationally to override the supreme mind. That's I mean, that's you enslave yourself to it. That's it. But there's a hadith that someone coming up with Qiyam said, you assume they have the full of earth of gold to ransom yourself. Are you going to spend the time? Say, yes, I am ready. Say, I asked you for something much simpler than that. Don't associate with me any partner. Accept me as the only and the one and only supreme Lord. But you did not. You don't need to bring any gold and silver. Just this simple recognition of the fundamental reality. That's all that I need. And that's all what you needed for today. That's all. You don't need gold and silver to that. The moment you have that, the first step to escape the fire is there. And the rest and higher ranks, okay, that's where people accelerate if they want. So it's very important to stress that as a foundation. And for everyone, when you scrutinize scripture and people claiming to be a prophet, yeah, you have to be strictly rational and look for contradiction. Don't assume anything. Not let anyone take you for a ride. Oh, these scripture, they're written on the divine protection. How do we know that? First thing, they are scripture. They are written. Okay, written in a language. Okay, let me learn that language if it's not my language. Then after learning it, let me check. Is there any contradiction with God? Okay, I will be lenient. I know there's metaphors. I know this address is addressed to everyone. Common people, to camel boys, cowboys, So it cannot be a language which addressing all the philosophers in the philosophical academy of Athens. That will be unfair. It will address everyone. Everyone who have minimum level of mind should be able to benefit from it. So there will be examples, there will be metaphors, and so on. Admitted. But if there's a contradiction which no solution is possible, assuming metaphor, things like that, then we have to stop there and see. It cannot be the divine can have such a contradiction. After being lenient, assuming metaphors and so on. No, that's not acceptable. And the moment you find one contradiction, it can't be divinely inspired. Maybe some of it, but not all of it. Now you become critical. Now you can advance from there. And that concerning real contradiction, not law fits your desire or is fair or unfair according. What do you mean fair and unfair? What is this? How is it defined? No, go. Exist or not exist. Like, for example, you find two stories of the creation in the Old Testament. But they mention the day, they give the day name Saturday, Sunday. Okay, that's appealing for the common people. It's actually days, meaning the first time span, which we don't know how much is it. And giving it these names, okay, so that the people can have something in their mind for the 6 days. Okay. It will be lenient in this. But if it says in one account that on Tuesday, the sun is created, but on day one, a tree is occurred, then we have to stop. And in the other one, different order. That's contradiction which cannot be, by metaphor, by any trick, removed away. So this is not by divine inspiration. Not fair or unfair, it's contradiction. Mathematically and logically not acceptable. Not go, inheritance law, they give half and half. That's not the way to go. That's the way which will get you into a demise. Because making an assumption that female and male are exactly equal in everything, which is contradicts the necessity. Maybe it have other functionality. We don't know all these details, but we know it cannot be that the creation of this and this be on Tuesday, and in another account, 2 accounts, by the way, in Genesis. You go to another account is created on Sunday. Can't be. Some error is there. It's not possible. Even if we accept Sunday or Tuesday as metaphor, just it is the second day and giving them similar human names. I will be lenient even in that. That's okay. I accept that. But that's not acceptable. These are created here, or the evil is created in the 4th day and they're created in the 1st day. There's no way to reconcile that. Whatever creation of the evil means, whatever Sunday and Tuesday means, it is contradiction. You see, that's how we get a contradiction. You say that's not divinely inspired. But some of it may be because generation claim that, and it seems to be some things seem to be fit and reasonable. Then we go from there and try to flesh out and see what we can distill out of that. It's a very big job if you go with this. The Quran claim otherwise. The Quran can be scrutinized. It's in our hand. Go there and dig. Fix your muscles. From its inception, from its recordation, but it's bit by bit. And see all these hypotheses which claim people sitting there in Berlin and so making their philosophy. The text is in front of us. Come on, see it.
Got one quick question. The brother's asking, when Allah says don't let wealth circulate among the few, what does it mean? What does it mean outside of zakat, sadaqah, and inheritance?
That's kept to the Imam to see what is there. The target, Allah does not want wealth to be limited to that wealth be circulating only between the rich one. The rich one should not have all the wealth circulating between them. It should get out and spread in the society. That's mentioned as a reason, as a target to be fulfilled by this distribution of this booty in that situation. So we take that as a principle because this is a illah. For this purpose, we made this law, which contradicts what had been before Islam. Usually, the way for because the people at the time were their own army, everyone arms himself. Spent by his horse, does everything. He armed himself. Now, in later times, there are professional armies armed by the state and so on. The issue of booty is resolved. The booty belongs to the state because he's the one arming you are giving everything. Maybe that the booty from someone you killed specifically, you can take that as a souvenir or something else, maybe, but everything else is not from you, from the state. But in that case, the motivation and what Allah brings from the people of the villages and so on, to which you did not have attacked by foot or by khayl wala rikab. You didn't attack with this. That belongs to Allah and His Messenger, meaning to the public treasury. And the reason that you are deprived from that, even if you are participating in the battle campaign, it will refer to a certain campaign. So the reason for that is that otherwise, the rich ones, the ones who have accumulated booty in the past, usually the Koreans are in time past, the one who raids and so on, they have wealth, they will accumulate more wealth. Allah does not want that. Want the wealth to circulate in the society.
It has a considerable import now in terms of just as in general illa now, because
you should do the taxation system, taking that into consideration, do everything up to the limit of human possibilities.
Because when wealthy people, they buy assets and they start, for example, houses, etc., and then the rental accommodation, and they can price fix, etc., amongst themselves, etc., etc.
That's exam. That's something else. That's ihtikar has having its own treatment. If it's ihtikar of things needed for life, like food and so on, it's a major sin. It's a crime, and has to be dealt with by breaking al-ihtikar and also punishing the appropriate Sharia punishment, which is not fixed. It's left also for the state by shura and so on to determine.
All right, bro.
So to be clear, on matters that deal with life, fire and water cannot be monopolized. So,
not monopolized. Is a common ownership, national ownership.
Is that based on the hadith?
Yes.
And other hadith, yeah. Also mineral resources which are inexhaustible, like not low-level minerals like sand and so on, gravel. Sand and gravel, if it's in your land, you have what's called the right of iftisas. You have the right to take it and benefit from it, but also that can be limited, that you are not taking all the sand, so you can keep a big hole there, which will be an environmental problem. So you take reasonable amount for your own building, or even selling. And also surface water, but deep water, which is created over a million years ago or accumulated, that is public property. Surface water, you can have haqq al-iftisas. It is your land, you can take from it. Usually it's in more than one land, like a lake. Then everyone take a proportion according. So he pumps in proportion to the area he owns from that lake, and pumps reasonably, not that the lake becomes dry and sink down. So that's haqq al-iftisas. But this is our details. This has to be worked to the state, has to be by measurements and so on, by estimation and all these things. And with more technology, you can do better analysis, you can do even satellite or observation and things like that. That's all can be done. That's the reason Sharia just gave the general principle and left the rest for the people to develop according to technology and machinery and tools available at a time, which may not be available at another time, or another time a better tool becomes available and the old tool will be forgotten and so on. Okay?
Yeah.
But it's good to hint these things that Book of Tawheed, but I don't want to go excessive. I avoided excessively, just mentioning the fundamental principle and giving one example, maybe a small example, maybe another example is good, is that there is the danger that someone go to the other. For example, I was more keen to respond to Hizb ut-Tahrir, who said that the people need prophets because otherwise they cannot regulate their life. That's not true. They can't regulate their life without prophets. They can't. It's not ideal, but they can. No, that's not the reason. Prophets, as the Quran says, they can ask them, they say, we didn't know. You know, I have sent a messenger with the evidences. That's it. The messenger is for that. Not that you cannot regulate your life. If there is no messenger has come, you are in a vacuum. It can happen. Some generation without any messenger. Then you regulate your life supposed to be according to rationality and reason. Then you are better off. When you regulate it according to desire and base desire, then it will be messy and you pay the price. But you will not be accountable on Qiyamah. We managed according to our situation. Okay, you have made bad management, but you didn't get a messenger which will tell you what to do. So nothing can be done about that. So the Hajj al-Anbiya, that's his say, is the one. Hajj al-Anbiya is not like that. It's to bring the people, the message of Allah, and so that they don't have a hujjah against Allah Yawm al-Qiyamah. Because although they initially equipped with fitrah, but this is not enough. They're subconscious. That's not enough Yawm al-Qiyamah. They have to brought something clear, structured, present, and evident and visible. The fitrah is a head start. He gave you a head start. He imprinted in your genes, in your brain, and so on, the belief in this, that's only one Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the grandization and respect for His Lord. That's definitely imprinted in the genes and in the brain. He gave you a head start. That's all. It's a great ni'mah. So when the Wahhabi say this is meaning shirk is Jihad does not excuse shirk, they're mistaken. Jihad excuses everything. If they don't receive a message, they're excused. And the ayah says, أن تكون يوم القيامة على الغافل والغافل ونأتي يوم القيامة. You say, look, you're tested, you got a messenger, and I gave you a head start. Even with this head start, you failed. You say, well, we're not aware about that. The messenger came to revive this intrinsic imprinted in the genes and the brain. And still you did not do. No excuse left. Don't bring that excuse. Another excuse, no messenger has come, that's something else. And that's what the guardian of the hellfire, when they ask for relief and so on, say, أَلَمْ تَكُنْ تَأْتِكُمْ رُسُلُكُم بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. Did you not see messenger with evidences? قالوا بلى. And they were ask your Lord to ease one day of punishment. They say, okay, then you supplicate, but your supplication most likely will not be responded to. قالوا فادعوا. We can't prevent you from making dua. وما دعاء الكافرين إلا في ضلال. All what we can say, supplicate. But we're not supplicating on your behalf. But our question is clear. Did you receive messengers with evidences? Yes. Then we cannot make supplication for you, but you can supplicate. Who can prevent you from supplication, even if you are in the hellfire? Supplicate. But beware that supplication of the disbeliever is most likely will be going astray. But we don't know what happens. Everything is in the hand of the Supreme Lord. That's it. So the messenger is important for that. Not to bring the Sharia, because people cannot make Sharia for themselves, or to make them happy in dunya. Allah wants you to be happy in dunya, but after sending a message, قال اهبطوا منها جميعا فإما يأتينكم فهدى, the guidance from me come to you, if فمن تبع هداي فلا يضل ولا يشقى. Who follow my guidance, he will not be unhappy and he will not go astray. ومن أعرض عن ذكري, who turns away from my remembrance and from my here the dhikr means also revelation and education and instructions. فإن له معيشة ضنكا, his life will be miserable. ونحشره يوم القيامة أعمى, we start يوم القيامة blind. He will ask, my Lord, I was seeing in dunya, now I'm blind. قال كذلك أتتك آياتنا فنسيتها فكذلك اليوم تنسى. What our evidence is, you close your eye. Now you are restricted blind. We forsake you now. We have forsaken our eyes before. You have forsaken you now. Fair enough. That's it. So only if the ayat has come, then you will have a good life and guidance, or you have a miserable life. One time. It's straight. Issue is very clear, simple. You get things to the fundamental points, everything becomes clear. And then the Sharia itself is good. It will make your life better, especially the final Sharia. The previous Sharia may have some punishment, have some hardship and so on, because there are certain conditions or situation for people who deserve punishment and things like that, as a whole nation. Although under the punishment will be prophets like Daniel was in the exile and he got castrated, so he has no offspring, he's gone completely, and he got enslaved. Why? He did not commit anything wrong, but the whole nation has to suffer. Because when the punishment will come, when an enemy attacks a country, It cannot come and talk in your face. You're a good man. Go to side. No, it doesn't work this way. Or when a tsunami comes, it's not going to shake everyone. You're a nice guy. Veer to the side. That's not the way tsunami works. That's not the way physics works. Everyone is gone, and the good ones will be resurrected according to their beliefs. They will be jubilant Yawm al-Qiyamah. When they're suffering here, will be rewarded excessively Yawm al-Qiyamah as the replacement. The universe is tuned this way. And it has to be, because the testing universe. If it be like that, there will be no testing. It's very clear. Punishment comes, only the criminals are punished, and the other ones stay around. Fire from heaven comes, everyone consumed. If it's the righteous one standing there in mid-fire. If that happens continuously, then there's no hijab, no veil, there's no testing. No way for everyone to use his brain. It will be forced belief, not based on rational consideration and thinking and analyzing and developing your own conviction by your own action, making your own destiny. Okay. Enough of sermons.
Okay.
But this is, go to the basic, then you are all the same. But always fundamentally, you must make sure that you are following something which you have scrutinized, that there is no genuine contradiction. Genuine, which is logically intolerable. Not that it doesn't fit my taste. I am a feminist. I am a masculinist. Islam gives women too much right, not to my taste. No. It doesn't work this way. If there's a statement which contradicts the other one in a way which can be reconciled by any metaphorism, by any exaggeration, anything like that. If that, then it is not divine revelation. Then we have to scale one and start building again.
Okay, inshallah. Same again next week, and also Sunday we'll have monthly Q&A.
Q&A this time only, on Palestine.
Okay.
Okay. So let's conclude. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. وتصبحون على خير، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.